Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 178. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V. See, you're sporting the, we're going old school.
I did. I wore this today, actually.
Was this a throwback due to our guest being...
No, I wore this before who I knew our guest was. It's for those you can't see, it's a 1998 PDGA Amateur World Championships polo. That's,
Officially a throwback.
Officially a 20-year-old polo shirt.
Yes, 1998.
Some things don't go out of style.
No, you do not. 98 Amateur World Championships took place in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is about 2 hours north of where Johnny and I are right now, also our hometown. And little known fact, it seemed like it was, this was before we were fully in the scene, behind the scenes, I should say.
This was kind of the start for me for behind the scenes.
Just a little bit, exactly. And we were told in some unofficial capacity that the 97 AM Worlds had in fact been granted to Appleton. In fact, there are some minis, some collectible, what some would consider collectible minis that say 1997 Amateur World Championships in the Fox Cities, Appleton area. And somehow, at the last minute, something happened. There may have been a board member, too, that still actively does stuff out there. But something or other happened. And, we only heard one side of the story. But ultimately, AM Worlds did not happen in 97 in Appleton. It took place in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where we ran into the likes of Avery Jenkins. I believe that was the first time that I remember seeing Val Jenkins, who couldn't care less about disc golf at the time.
True.
Hung out in the van, I think, reading magazines because she couldn't care less about being at a disc golf tournament where her brother was. And then ultimately, 98 Amateur World Championships brought to Appleton, and the rest is history, I think, as they say.
Yeah, there's very few 97 AM Worlds polos out there for Appleton. I've seen maybe 2 different people wear them in my life, but yeah. So
old school
very old
stuff
school
taking
tonight.
place. And I recall, and it is very fitting for our guest tonight, I recall some people saying that this Avery Jenkins fella was potentially one of the favored or one of the heavy hitters that would be at that event and possibly picked to win. I don't remember exactly where he finished. I know he did not win. For free bonus points out there, can anyone name our Amateur World Champion from that year?
I can. I'd be more curious to remember where he finished. I know it wasn't...
The champion finished first.
No, where Avery finished. He didn't make the top... I don't believe he made the final 4. So I'm going to go out and say 6th.
I was going to say somewhere in the top 10. And honestly, I don't recall.
I don't
either. Funny, after all of those visits in the World Championships that I've both played in and attended, I can't recall. What is important is the 2009 World Championships, in which he did win. And in Kansas City, of course, we're going to be catching up with Avery, as we've been talking about. First, we're going to have Dynamite. He's out there somewhere. I think we're going to have Dynamite join us for a little bit tonight. Then we'll catch up with Avery in about 15 to 20 minutes. And then as we conclude with Avery, we're going to talk about a new segment that we're going to probably visit back and forth for the next few weeks at least, maybe for the next month or two. We've been talking with Dynamic Disc, and as many of you have seen or heard, in your area there's a Dynamic Disc Marksman League. It's a putting league, and there's a specific format to it along with some stipulations. They've partnered up with UDisc, who I believe we talked to also a few weeks ago, and we're going to try and give you some up-to-date stats about the Marksman League that's taking place all around the country. I know every week we kind of say, well, there's not a lot going on for tournaments. Well, as disc golf putting leagues have consumed most of this winter season, we'll try to bring you a few of the updates week in and week out on the Marksman League as that rolls us into the springtime. So after we give you the Marksman League updates, that's when we're going to move into talking with Hannah and Dustin Leatherman, who I will likely call Heather at some point. Not Dustin, but Hannah. We're going to catch up with Eagles Wings and what they have going on. They got some new announcements talking about the programming and contests and things that they've got going on. A great organization. We've had them on here a couple of other times. We'll catch up with them and see what they have going here for 2018 and beyond. So a jam-packed night, and dare I say it almost even sounds a little bit thought out. So I apologize ahead of time if we actually are on top of things.
We're planners.
Something like that.
We are not.
Well, either way, sounds like in a moment here, we're going to have our favorite red-bearded friend. You may have seen him digging into a piece of, I don't know, chocolate chip peanut butter cake this weekend. Yeah, that's what he does. Dana Vicich, welcome to the show, buddy. How we doing tonight? Yeah, there you go.
Did it just get bright in here, or is it me?
Wow. That's a fancy I like that Ashley keeps you under the stairs. You have your own little studio.
Yeah. Well, I got kids sleeping all over the place. Baby in there, Edith up there. I'm in the corner under the stairs here.
We love it. Every week you seem to find a slightly different location to bring us your updates. And
yeah.
It's like, where in the world is Dana over at Dynamite's house these days?
Yep. Here we are. Hiding in the dark.
Dana,
throwing lights on.
A few people saw online you ultimately opted for the peanut butter chocolate chip cake this weekend at the Blackhawks game. I got to say, I like that move. That was a pro move. I followed suit. Not too shabby.
No regrets. No regrets.
You got the tat on the neckline yet? No regrets?
No, that might be coming. That might be coming.
Good.
Yeah, that was a blast. Couple of us disc golf friends went to the Blackhawks game.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my invite.
Keep waiting.
PDJ number 1276, Tom McManus. Is that right?
Yes.
1276. Yeah.
Yes,
Tom,
Mr. McManus.
Tom, good friend. He got a few of us disc golfers together, and we went to the Blackhawks game. It was my very first Blackhawks game. That was awesome. The result of the game was pretty poor. Blackhawks were literally out of it after the first 3-4 minutes. They were down 2-0. But just incredible to watch hockey live, NHL hockey in person. I definitely, if I'm taking in hockey, I prefer it live and then on the radio and then on television. I always, over the years, if I've took in any Blackhawks, it's been on the radio. But that was a lot of fun. The national anthem was amazing. The cake was amazing. Company, but, yeah.
You weren't saying that as you put down your 4th or 5th hot dog in a row.
I definitely was overserved.
I've said this a dozen times. Hot dogs are best at sporting events. They taste better there for some reason. I can get the same Clements hot dog at Miller Park here at my house, but there's something about eating that hot dog at the stadium that it does it for me. I'm not sure. It's almost a guarantee that if I go to a ball game, there's at least 2 hot dogs in my future.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's 2 more than I'll consume this year. Not a hot dog guy. Anyway, so yes, thank you first and foremost, Tom McManus. He's usually the first guy at the tournament. He's the first guy to help count scorecards. He's the first guy to do anything he can to assist someone in terms of being at an event. He's a road warrior that's played hundreds of PDGA and non-PDGA events. Just an all-around really great guy. And so, Tom, we all certainly appreciate it. That was my first ever NHL game. I've only been to a college game. I've been to a
time United Center.
And my first time at the United Center, somewhat surprisingly. So it was a great place to be. Lots of great disc golf company, and the hookup by Tom being in a suite was that much sweeter. It was certainly a good time. So thank you very much. All right, Dynamite. We kind of prefaced a little earlier. I said that we're going to be a little later in the show talking about the Marksman League. People are getting their putting practice on all around the country. You're able to score it live on UDisc. People from everywhere can see what's going on. So we'll cover that a little bit later. Are you seeing anything out there as we've moved into 2018's PDGA calendar?
Oh yeah. There was we had a couple B tiers this last weekend. Down in Savannah, the Savannah Open moved from Tom Triplett Park. I think I don't know if they played one round there or any rounds there, but historically it's been there. They moved to a golf course for at least part of the event. 149 total players. It's always a well-attended event, sells out very quickly. I used to actually go down to Savannah for the Savannah Open to open my season. Might have even won it in advance once, but that's we're not here to talk about me.
We will later.
So,
I promise.
Oh wow! Hold.
It's good. It's all positive.
All positive.
All right, I'm gonna have to apologize because I'm learning this right now, live on Smashbox. If you hover on the PDGA results, if you hover your mouse over round 1, or whatever round 1, round 2, round 3, it tells you what they played. How long has that been there?
It's been there since last year,
yeah,
buddy.
We talked about it on the show, actually. At one point, I said that these are things behind the scenes that the PDGA is doing that people, it's not exactly, there's no, I mean, Gans has a little bit of free time now. He's got himself an assistant, a helper, I don't know what you'd call I'm thinking of like
an assistant.
No, it's not an assistant.
A coworker? A colleague?
A colleague. Thank you.
Okay. Definitely a colleague.
Well, I'm glad one of you guys decided to tell me this, because I would have definitely helped with my my smash boxing. But
hovering is definitely tough, Dana. We cover hovering later. We're going to cover links, clickable hyperlinks. We'll cover that at some point for you.
Yeah.
Wow. And F5
Apparently
refreshes a page. I'm not going to try and blow your mind here, but F5 refreshes most browsers.
All right, so they did. So they did play the first day. So the first 2 rounds were at Tom Triplett, which is a really fun wooded course in Savannah, Georgia, right outside of Savannah, Georgia. But then the final round was at a golf course, and after the first day, winning was Chris Dickerson over Barry Schultz, and that's how it ended up. Dickerson hung on. He played pretty steady golf rounds 1 through 3, 10:38, 10:38, 10:37. They played a finals, which he smoked. He beat everybody, and they gave him a 1061 rating for that. It won't go on his rating because it was only 9 holes, but he won by 5 throws over Barry, finishing in third. That pesky lefty Zach Melton. He played some pretty good disc golf, averaged over 1,000. Joey Lutz rounded out the top 4. On the pro women's side, Haley Childs got herself a victory. She was down by a couple after the first round, fought back for a piece of the lead. Or actually, she was tied for the lead going in the final round, and then won a really close battle over Aaron Prescott and Paige Woodard. That was she won by 2 over second and 4 over third. So really tight battle there. And Schwebe, he shredded down there in the Masters 40 plus. He won by, 11 throws, doing Schwebe stuff. But Chris Dickerson, $780. Not too bad for a little B tier there. 29 players, so they must have had some pretty good added cash to get up to that 780 number. Barry won 525 for second.
And interestingly enough, and we'll get to Schwebe in the after show. There's a interesting thread that took place on his wall, so that's after show fodder. Again, assuming I could click on it, or hover, that they played the exact same layouts. Schwebe shoots himself a 16 under par, winning. I guess he doesn't necessarily come for the finals, but it shows he shoots a 16 under par and winning Pro Masters. But then it also shows that 16 under par is in theory. Well, we'll see. He would have been looking at third or fourth-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. Again, all things remain this. If you're assuming they're the same, which I know they're not, but fourth place takes 310. So, right, it looks like Schwebe's earnings, and we'll say in this case, all things being the same, netted him about the same result playing Masters versus playing in the Open. However, a little less stressful. I think he had himself a double-digit lead in that Masters division, which we all know if you're playing good or even remotely on, that that kind of cushion just feels that much more comfortable when you're out there playing, a little less stressful.
Yeah, most definitely. He was up by 5 after the first day, and then went on to beat second place by 6 throws during the final round. So it wasn't all that close heading into the final day. But after round 1, he was only up by a stick over Ryan Slim Pickens. So nice shooting to Schweb. Win number like 800 career for him. Woo!
He done good.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and so let's move over to Texas, where there was another B tier, the only other B tier of the weekend. Everything else was C tiers. Dynamic Disc presents Straddle the Brazos, a Waco fundraiser. 179 players, so even more players than they had down in Savannah. 30 more players. Open division saw 22 total players, and had a couple thousand rated guys up there, and no surprise, a couple thousand rated players finishing in 1-2. Austin Hannum finished in first place. He's from Perry, Oklahoma. He's 1,004 rated. He beat Eric Oakley by 3 throws. And Emerson Keith also tied for second place. But Bo Tillman, the other 1,000 rated player, he ended up in the cash somewhere down there, had a rough second round. But after winning, he was winning the first round and then just didn't do it that second round. On the women's side, they had 9 open women players, and winning that division in a really, really contested match was Danielle Wigand. She won by 2 throws over Katie Ward and 3 throws over Jennifer Taspy and Chrissy Fountain. So pretty deep women's field there. A couple names that I'm not all that familiar with. So nice job, Texas, growing the women's side down there with the early season B tier, not almost double digits. That's not bad.
That's incredible. Honestly, looking at that, seeing 9 women, pro women, out there competing.
I think I only know 2 of their names out of that I've seen from some of our past events in Texas, or at least the area. There's 7 of them out there that I don't know. So that's fantastic. That's good growth.
Yeah. Looks like what's interesting to see is the PDGA numbers from Christina is in the 36,000s, all the way as high up as 97,000, and everywhere in between. So a very diverse group of pro women out there playing in terms of their longevity with the PDGA and even their player ratings as well. So awesome to see.
Yeah, most definitely.
And Dana, I'm going to go ahead and ask right away. This is literally the first links I'm clicking on for results here in 2018. You're seeing the Pro Masters. It says Pro Masters 40 plus, Pro Masters 50 plus. We talked about it at great length a few months ago when it was announced that we're going to see the 5-year marks, divisional marks. There can be a Pro Master 45 and a Pro Master 55 and a Pro Master 65. The tournament directors can then actually designate these 5-year breaks, or even, I think more interestingly, a tournament director could in fact maybe not offer a Pro Master 40 division, but instead offer a Pro Master 45 division, and then maybe they skip the 50 and 55 cutoff and then offer a Pro Master 60. I mean, we could really see a lot of different names in terms of divisions kind of fluctuate with these interesting 5-year breaks. And this one seems to have gone, we'll say, quote-unquote, traditional or more standard in that sense, but I'll be interested to see who takes advantage of those new 5-year breaks.
Yeah, definitely. It's another interesting thing to watch, and I'll keep tabs on it for you, Terry, and keep you in the loop, because I know you're usually too busy to look at results.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Did you see anything? Did you look at any of the C tier results anywhere taking place around the country this weekend? Anything jump out at you, either people or fun courses or anything else out of the ordinary out there?
You know, I really didn't look too much into the C tiers. There were a number of them. They're playing up in Michigan. They're playing in Finland, Kentucky. Nothing really jumped out at me though. What did jump out at me was next week, first A tier, Shelly Sharp Memorial, and the first thing I did was scroll down to the Masters division to see if old disc golf guy was signed up. Are you gonna be playing in the Shelly Sharp Memorial next week in the Masters division? What's the word?
As of right now, it looks like I will in fact be making my Pro Masters debut.
Wow.
I'll be doing it at an A tier. I thought my Pro Masters event, first one of the year, would be at the Crack Plastic, which is a 3-day A tier. I am certainly debating attending that and playing in that there, and that's in February. But things are kind of working out. I've got a flight. I'm out there on Thursday night, not coming back till Monday night, and my initial focus was, in fact, to be filming, and I still plan to be filming the Open Division. But if things can work out, and I'm not sure how it's going to work with my filming schedule and some of the timelines, and there's a few details. I may or may not need a little bit of help from some people, but it looks like I may try to compete and play during the day, and then literally probably drop my bag off at hole 18, pick up a camera, and then be ready to go on hole 1. Or maybe I might need help if somebody could film the first 2 or 3 holes, and then I catch up with it and take the camera over from there. It's going to be six long rounds potentially out at Vista del Camino's XL layout. And for those that know my game, distance is not my strong suit. Accuracy and putting have been in the past, but that was also when I cared and I played a little bit.
Load up on Gold Bond.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a relatively mild weekend as well, so I am looking forward to that. It's a little bit daunting thinking about the idea of being out there and actually competing again, just because I'm so far removed from that mentality. But that's the plan this weekend. It should be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
You'll be fine. You'll have them wobble putts going and the clap going. We all know that T-Dog game.
I want to make sure that someone gets the 8-foot air ball.
Yeah, there'll be at least one of those.
You're good for those at least once every 2 rounds, I would say.
That's about accurate, yeah.
You get up and you kind of just, it's like you don't even think or care, and they're just whoop, wide right, and then you usually hit the 20-foot, 25-foot comeback.
Yep. There's usually one of those out there. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about anything about elevation or differences of that nature. Yeah, I mean, I know the course. It's not my favorite course personally to compete on. Again, distance is great on those, especially on those back 6 holes where you go across the water. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think I've thrown a competitive round at the Memorial. Gosh, that's got to be since like 2009-ish.
The year we had to leave, maybe? Was that the last?
Yeah, 2008, 2009, sometime around then. That might have been the last time, because I was there with Disc Golf Planet. I've been there video blogging, and I've been there with SmashBoxx. And so I haven't competed at the Memorial in quite a few years.
I think the last time I did, I took 5th in advanced, and I haven't gone back. I'm scared.
So, Dana, please, as the veteran that continues to get to play instead of letting media take over your life, what are your tips for old T-Dog here? Give me some pro tips.
Oh, man. All right, so my first tip would be for you to remember to pack your disc golf bag.
Okay, yes.
I know that's not usually, one of the
it's not a priority, yep.
That you're traveling with. Are you going to bring your discs? I guess
I think I will, and I think I should bring extra. There's really only about 2 holes out there where you could really lose the disc.
That's what the people in your group are for. If you lose a disc, you borrow a disc. You're the disc golf guy. Just be like, come on, I'll put you on a blog.
That brings me back to one of my I don't think it was my first year at the Memorial. One of my first few years there, I'd lost several, I think 6 or 7 in at Fountain, and I see Terry on the backside, and he gives me a pro wraith from his car, and I go throw that in the water, and then by the time I'm on hole 17, Bomba Rico has given me a star wraith out of his bag. So yeah, I've been there. It's cool, man. You might lose a few discs, but also next week's sponsor is Spinners on the Green. You can head over there.
Yeah.
Hit up Keith, maybe he'll give you a little discount, or you could, they got a pretty big used disc selection. You might find one of mine in there from many years ago, but you'll be all right. You're not playing Fountain, are you?
No, we're not playing Fountain, just the Vista XL layout. Again, only really 1 or 2 holes that you could realistically should lose a disc in or could lose a disc in. So as long as I can stay clear of those, hopefully we'll be okay. But it should be a lot of fun. I will be digging through the used bin. I always love looking for old gems that are worn in a little bit. So I may visit that regardless whether I need them or not. I was debating, do I need a bag sponsor? I haven't had a bag in a while. I've used an Upper Park shift bag for a year or so, and I think I'm looking for something a little different. So I don't know if there's an opportunity out there.
Let's see.
I need discs, I need bags, I need everything.
Well,
I could see you carrying a nut sack.
I could. I'm a big fan.
You need 5 or 6 discs. That's probably, you're probably carrying a couple Ontario's, Comet, Wraith. What are you putting with? Big bead?
Either Big Beat AVR, maybe an old KC Pro AVR that's nice and slick on top, something like that. I feel bad. I'm so far removed that I haven't really played with a lot of Latitude or a lot of Dynamic Discs or MVP. Like, dare I say, these last 4 or 5 years, I haven't thrown a lot of discs. So
we've got some. They sent us some. Just Smashbox. I mean, you'd like the Trespass, I think. I honestly do think that. It's a nice disc.
Just going to have to take a whole extra stack of stuff in case I throw it in the water.
You know who you could talk to? Someone in sales.
Oh.
Someone who does sales for a major disc golf company.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you know anybody like that, Dana? Do you know anyone that recently got a sales position with, we'll say, a major overseas manufacturer that is really going to make a move here in the U.S.?
Dana, give me a hard sell. What Discmania disc do I need in my bag? This is your only opportunity to give me the hard sell.
If you're going to put one Discmania disc in your bag, oh, man. Well, you personally?
Yeah,
for
me.
Your game?
Yep, for my game.
For your game, I'm going CD2, man. It's a Speed 9 disc for all you flight number people, but it flies a lot further than a Speed 9 disc. So it's something that you don't have to crank on. It's got a lot of glide. You can shape shots with it. It's probably going to go just as far or farther than your Speed 11 Wraith or whatever the Wraith is, Speed 12. So go with the CD2. The swirly line is my favorite. I could see you getting some really nice pars out there at Vista with that.
All right. Well, we'll see. We're going to have our next guest in a few minutes. We're going to have to work with him. He's having problems with Skype, so we might be able to try a VMix or some other calls or any way we can. This is my audio cue to you that we have to figure out something else.
I see that.
But we'll catch up with Avery. We'll see what Avery suggests for me in terms of a disc. DDX, does that sound familiar? Did I think I gave those away at a tournament once. I thought I liked those. Maybe I could try and throw one of those.
Yeah, I could see the DDX being a really good flyer for you. It's a straight distance driver, speed 12. So faster disc, but not incredibly fast. Think of a turn that has a little bit more stability. So if you like that narrow type rim, but DDX came out a few years ago, and it's a really popular mold. Easy distance, straight shots, or people with slowing arm speed, like maybe a Masters aged disc golf guy might find a little bit of extra distance with it.
All right. Well, I will be out there trying probably a few new discs and really excited to play this weekend. Keep it in bounds will be the name of the game, and try not to lose any in the water. I think if I can do that, I should have some fun out there. Nice and flat, and should be a really good time. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing Keith and Spinners on the green and the entire crew out there. Again, not much of a warm-up for myself for the Memorial, except for doing a little of the walking, but we'll see how things go.
Will you do us a favor? Will you have your phone pedometer, or what? Will you let us know how many steps you're?
Sure.
Because I mean it's a lot of walking playing that course. So if you're going to be doing that twice, you're going to be putting in 30,000+ steps. More than that, probably 50,000+ steps in a day.
Well, hopefully I'm going mainly down a fairway. The less steps, the better. That's for sure. So we'll see. Yeah, I'll see if I have something going out there, so we'll know for the day what kind of a trek that it is. But looking forward to it. Some suggestions coming in off the board. I appreciate that. Somebody said I should try a Shrike. In fact, I did try one. I got to throw one a little bit when I was in Nantucket. One of the last few times I played. Understable enough for me that it got to work. I know that's probably far too understable for some of our big arms out there, but it'll be a lot of fun no matter what happens. The one thing that I may also break out and debut is some form of an elbow brace or something. When I did play recently, my elbow actually sometimes hurts if I try and throw too hard, and I don't know what that is. I've never known what that is, and it's only been in the last few years. So I don't know if there's a special brace or bandage or wrap or something that I need. But I think the phrase is "it sucks getting old," if that's a phrase. Yeah. So it should be interesting. We'll see how things go.
So this is going to be your Masters debut, Johnny V. When are we going to see you? Well, I know you're behind the scenes quite a bit. So with a lot more Disc Golf Pro Tour events this year, and then doing whatever national tour events and majors that are on SmashBoxx. That doesn't leave a lot of playing time. When, if at all, will we see you playing Masters?
My goal possibly is to, and I guess it's not too late. I was thinking about trying to find something for the Big Chill here in Milwaukee, play a doubles event. Another person Masters aged, and I believe the Greater Milwaukee Open. I'm hoping. I think we have that weekend off.
Okay.
And Silver Creek, if I'm lucky, as well as Northwoods. Those are kind of mine right now. There's a small, tiny inkling in the back of my head that I wouldn't mind to go do the cracked plastic as well, but we'll see. I haven't even looked at my schedule or my calendar to see if that's an option.
I tell you, it's a whole new ball game, a whole new world. Maybe not. It'll be interesting. Again, Johnny and I, not too many opportunities to get out. I usually have a few less than him to actually go out and play. So hopefully we'll find a way to get on the course and maybe rekindle some of that somewhat competitive spirit out there on the disc golf course rather than just through a lens.
Take my advice that helped me at the Pro Tour Finals. Just accept where you're at in disc golf in life.
I thought the suggestion was to be close your eyes and putt.
Ouch. Ouch.
I've accepted that that's going to be hanging over my head for the rest of whatever. But hey, this is a G-rated show. I'm going to stop right there because I was gonna go somewhere.
Well, Dana, the good news is you've accepted it. You can move past it. No one else will have to bring it up. It doesn't even have to get mentioned in the new Disc Golfer magazine that you were on that final card. I think you were somewhat omitted from the entire conversation. So clearly they've gotten over it, and it sounds like you've accepted it, which is good to know.
Yeah, and why couldn't Jomez have just gotten over it and not,
just stopped filming you at hole 9? Just been like, cut you or filmed you and then kind of cut you out. Put together just a Dana highlight of three or four holes.
my follow flight in that I had. I had a follow flight. So
Okay.
how many of you out there?
Zero.
How many of you have
I've had
follow
zero
flight?
follow
Zero
flights.
follow
I'm
flights.
just saying.
I have zero.
I'll get
You?
one, Dana. I'll get one when
I had a follow flight.
when Jomez turns masters. And
Yeah.
all right, Dana, we're gonna let you get going here. We have a teammate of yours or a coworker, depending on how you want to talk to him
Coach.
about it, on another line.
Coach.
So,
A coach. Like from Minnesota. We won't even get into the Minnesota Vikings. That's another story for another
maybe
day.
after show. Or
All
something.
right,
That's
Dynamite.
a
As
sad-
always, we appreciate your insights. I'll take all that those suggestions to heart, and we'll see if we can. Just being able to sniff the cash again would be a success. So we'll see what we can do out there this weekend, and I'll keep you updated on the pedometer, buddy.
All right. Smashies, Johnny, Terry.
See you, Dana.
Have a good night, buddy. Take care. All right, of course, Dynamite, Dana Vicich giving us the updates. A couple of B tiers taking place this weekend, and then some insights as to how I need to go about this weekend in Arizona. So we appreciate that as always, Dana, and looking forward to talking to you next week.
We're gonna try to bring in Avery right away.
Okay.
He's on another line, so I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna work. So I'm gonna bring him in right now. Avery, are you there?
How's it going, guys? What's
Wow,
happening?
that worked.
It worked.
I honestly wasn't sure if it was gonna work.
That's why you get paid the big
Miracle of
bucks,
modern
Johnny.
Technology.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Well, first of all, of course, welcome Avery Jenkins, our 2009 world champion. And Coach, I clearly should have saved these questions for you. I was just asking Dana if I'm actually thinking about being competitive. What Discmania disc do I need? And what are your tips for me this weekend? You know, maybe because you might be of this age as well, maybe.
Wow. So, are you playing your first Masters tournament?
That
what you're
is,
explaining?
yes, that's the plan. Vista del Camino, the XL
Wow.
layout, the Shelly Sharp is going on this weekend. I want to try to play and then go out and film in the afternoon. I'm going to try and pull double duty.
So, turning 40 this year. I'll be
A
joining
couple
you
weeks
in that,
after you.
in that milestone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're definitely Masters age, regardless if you're going to play Masters or not. It's one thing, but I'm going to hold off on that for a while.
Yeah,
if,
all right,
if I
all
can
right.
help it. Yeah.
So, well,
As far as tips, yeah, I think you know what you're doing out there. You've been doing it as long as me or longer, possibly. So I think you know what you're doing out there. You've seen that course too many times through the lens of a camera, or playing all those years as well. And you are a world putting champion, so I wouldn't second guess yourself. I think use your experience as a veteran and go out there and kill it.
Play
All
within your means.
Yes,
That's what we always say.
That's what I'll do. Well, I appreciate that. And dare I ask, what is there a Discmania disc? I'm so out of the loop. I'll give you your one hard sell. Is there a Discmania disc specifically? My bag has a lot of Innova already. Is there a Discmania disc I should have in my bag?
I think Innova and Discmania cross over very well. I think they fill the gaps within the lineup a lot. I think, T-Birds to FDs to TLs kind of cross over pretty well. Destroyers to DDX to a turn cross over really well. It's just different component parts of all that. And it really just comes down to trying them out and really trying to work something in the bag that works for you and your arm speed. Yeah, if you're throwing destroyers or a turn or anything in there, I think a DDX would work just fine for you.
Okay.
It's a long distance driver and has a lot of carry, and it gets a lot of distance for a lot of players out there.
Well, I think I have some with some custom stamps from an event I ran a year or two ago, so I'll have to dig those out
There you go.
in the next couple
There you
days.
go.
Dig those out of the snow before I head out. So, more importantly, though, let's recap. It's been a while since we talked to you. I think we had to go back way back in the archives.
Episode 14, February 10th of 2015.
Okay.
You're
It was
correct.
it was just after your son was born. Just a couple of weeks, if I'm correct. I think we caught you.
5 days. 5 days.
Five
after
days.
he was born.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
like 2 weeks, to be honest. So yeah, I
Okay.
remember
No,
because
but-
we were throwing pictures together for the old podcast, and I got a great one of you holding him, and that was our podcast thumbnail
Right.
for a while. So
That's right.
it's awesome.
So he
So
made
it's
his
been-
appearance on live podcast for the first time 5 days after he was born. And when Terry was doing his announcement earlier saying it was on for the first time, I was like, no,
knew.
it was 3 years ago. Yeah, it
I
was like
knew.
your 14th. I made the top 20 at least. And
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a while, but you guys were early on in the podcast game, and now it's like 178, I believe. I did my
Yeah.
numbers as well.
Yeah.
Well, you
Johnny V,
yourself
there
have
you
been
go.
quite busy. Of course, we're seeing things with the World Tour. There's news and developments and things that are happening with that. We can get to that a little later. But you've been traveling around, and you've been wearing, like always, you've been wearing a handful of different hats. You're obviously in the media side of things. You're in the teaching side of things. You're in the playing side of things. What on any given weekend? What steers you towards any specific channel or task?
Yeah, it all really depends on what event's coming up. Last year, in the last 2 years, I was doing a lot of disc golf world tour stuff, doing a lot of commentary, doing a lot of hosting there. If I wasn't doing that, I was either teaching instructional clinics or playing when I got a chance. I played 13 tournaments last year in I think 6 or 7 different countries, if I'm correct. But yeah, I didn't play as much, but I played more concentrated events that I really wanted to play. I always play the World Championships every year for Given. I play Masters Cup out in Santa Cruz every single year. I lived out there for 3 years, and that's my home away from home, if you will. I love going out there and playing. And then let's see, there's another couple tournaments I try to play every year, and another one's out in Norway. I've been hitting that for the last couple years, and yeah, I try to play when I can, but I see the need and the demand for, doing more things, more tasks outside of just being a player. After all these years, I do love playing, but I do like the media side as well. I think it's really exciting to see where it's going, where it's expanding to. You got podcasts, you got, live coverage, you got pre-recorded coverage, and you got disc golf from so many different outlets for fans and spectators to really catch up on, the player side of things, the game side of things, the tournament side of things. And I think it's really exciting to see where this has gone and continues to grow to.
Well, I'll have to say, I really enjoyed the stuff you did after the rounds. A lot of those wrap-up shows that you did, interviewing the players and things like that, I enjoyed those immensely. And I think that that's one of the things, being on the live side ourselves, that I think we're missing out on as well, that you guys did
Right.
fantastic, was just that post-game show kind of thing. I thought that was phenomenal.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's a lot of fun. It's you watch NFL on the weekends and you see the sideline reporters, or after the game is ended, you see them grab a player and go out there and just catch the player after the last catch or after the last touchdown, really catch their emotions. Then I think that's very powerful stuff, and everybody wants to see that. What do you want to hear what they have to say right after that moment happened? That's the high point, and it's much needed into what we do now.
It was just a week ago. I was trying to place my timing. A week ago, I had caught up with Will Schusterich, and Will has been working on a project being the DGI, as we also have other DGIs taking place. He's working on an instructional clinic, and as he was kind of piecing that together, and I shouldn't say he was piecing, as he was explaining it to me, and I was piecing it all together in my mind, I was thinking about the Deep in the Game series, which is something that was very early on, I feel like, in the Spin and Discmania media presence, and that was something you worked incredibly hard on, and you followed through with this entire series. Obviously, very well received. Are people always clamoring? They want more of it. They want another series. Maybe expanded upon what was put out there. Is that in the works?
Yeah, that's always it's always interesting to hear. It was done 5 years ago, Deep in Game series, and it's something that's in need. It's in demand. There's a lot of new players coming into the game every single year, every single season, and they're trying to find an outlet for information, especially catered to instructional information. And they all want to get better. Everybody wants to become a better putter. Everybody wants to throw farther. It's just the nature of the game in any sport you play. And I think it was kind of almost ahead of its time, when we first started doing those DVDs. There was nothing else out there. There's a Discraft series they did really well, but trying to put it all together and line it up in a correct order, and really trying to, captivate the fans, captivate the players that want to learn more and how to become a better player. And there's a need for it. There's definitely a demand for it, and it's cool to see where it's gone in 5 years. But right now there is things in the works right now as far as creating another series, another extension of what we started 5 years ago. And there's a lot of things to talk about. We covered 5 key points in what disc golf instructional is, but seriously, I could talk about disc golf instructional all day. And there's so many cool little facets that I didn't cover, and we just kind of hit the meat of it all. But I think we can explain a lot more things and go over so many other different conditions and pregame play and warm up and training and practice. There's so many things we can cover that we couldn't cover in the first 5. So there's definitely a need. And I think we're gonna cater to that need of the players and expand on that.
Well, I would love to see it, because as much as I love seeing Wills come out, and I support it and I want to see that succeed, there are different body types, and there are different styles, and there's different learning styles, different teaching styles. So it's never so much, in my opinion, that, oh, I think Wills is going to be better or worse than the next guys, or Discmanias is going to be better or worse. I just think having the variety of them all out there, you may hit on something, as you just said, you may hit on something that as thorough and as detailed as someone else's might be, they may have missed it. And if that's the one thing that they picked up while they were watching yours, or vice versa, I think that that opportunity is out there for so many more people to take it in, to learn, to consume, and kind of take the best of all the different perspectives as well. I mean, you obviously are like Will Schustrick, a long thrower, but very different body types, very different styles, and different approaches even to the game, and even teaching styles. So I think some may say, well, that's already out there, or it's not needed. I would argue the exact opposite. Might as well have everybody. If Kobe Bryant was teaching basketball, and so was Michael Jordan, and so was LeBron James, I think there would be room to say, okay, well, I think I could learn from all of them. So I think that's awesome to see.
So which one is Avery in this case?
Well, he's got Cleveland root, or he's got Ohio roots. Dare I say, are you a LeBron? Are you a LeBron or an MJ guy? You got to be a LeBron guy, I'm guessing.
I'm LeBron through and through. It's we were actually born in the same hospital, so.
Oh wow! Okay, in that case,
that explains it.
But so is Steph Curry. Steph Curry's from Akron as well, so don't forget that.
Wow,
yeah,
that I didn't
pretty
know.
Good Ohio knowledge. But yeah, totally agreed. As far as bringing other aspects or other players into it, in certain ways, people explain things a lot of times differently. If I say one thing and another player says another thing, we cross over a lot of very similar and very maybe exact information a lot of times. It just said different ways, and it could translate and it could carry on, and really a player could take it in a little differently. And if it helps them become a better player, all them to it. It's great that there's all these different sources out there that, are expanding the horizon for disc golf instruction. And congrats to Will for putting out such a, highly detailed instructional. And then it's obviously a kind of a very good detailed plan, and that's a great way to do it. We did consider charging at first and making it more of a membership kind of driven site or instructional, but we thought we'd access a little better and really get more bang for the buck as far as putting out, so much money to put on a production, but also getting a lot more players out there that can access it for free on YouTube. So it's been very well received. I know a lot of coaches out there, a lot of different teachers from college to high school that have used Deep in the Game as a good form of teaching in some of their curriculum for disc golf classes and such too. So I think it's good all around. Like I said, it's great to see disc golf world expanding so much, and especially on the instructional side.
Well, and speaking of coaching, you just mentioned coaches. One of the roles that I know that you're continuing with, and maybe you can elaborate for everyone, is the combines, and we'll say player recruitment and or potential sponsorship recruitment. Talk a little bit about what you're doing with Discmania and what the combines mean in where we're at in disc golf.
Pretty unique concept we came up with a few years back, trying to figure out a way that we can test players. There hasn't been that kind of event where you kind of run people through a gauntlet, if you will, of different skill challenges and field events. And we thought, what better way to not only see a player and how they perform in a tournament and how they finish or their player rating, but how do they putt under pressure? How do they throw approaches and drives? How do they compete in a round of golf with other competitors, when you only got that one round to shine. And I think it was a really cool way, interesting way to really test a player on their capacity, their pressure, and how they can take it during a round, and then how they can perform on the field with various tasks from throwing approaches on these field. We set up a bullseye on the field, and we gauge it back at 50 feet increments, starting at 100 to 152 to 250, and the longest being 350. And that's a pretty sizable approach if you think about it. But we also test them on the hyzer, the straight shot, and the anhyzer shot. And we really want to see players get creative out there. And that's what's really we get to meet the player, see who they are as an individual, and what they can do on and off the course as just being a real person. So it's great to meet all these players that come out. I really appreciate everybody that has for the last 2 seasons, and we plan on running strong this year with about 3 or 4 events covering some different regions we haven't covered in the last 2 seasons. But Disc Mini Combines produced some really good players. We got some top recruits. We got a AM World Champion from last year. He just made Team Discmania through the Combine, and got some players spread out. Some really good potential. We're trying to enhance the team, and right now, our 2 top dogs are Simon and Eagle. What they do for the game and what they do for the team right now is great. And it's incredible to watch, these 2 players escalate their games over the last couple seasons.
Do you have any insight into those 2 right now? I know they're out somewhere over in near the Alps doing a bunch of training.
Yeah.
I thought they were just skiing.
No, they're actually doing some hardcore training.
Riding inner tubes down ski slopes.
Do you think they're getting more flexible? Have you heard anything from those guys since they've been out there, or have you been following their adventures?
I've been following a little bit. I've been talking with Simon, kind of seeing what they're doing. They're working out every single day. It's what Simon did last year. He went down there for about 5 weeks last year to rehab. He had a knee injury the previous season, so it was really trying to strengthen him and get him tournament ready and ready for the season. So he did this last year, this whole program, and now I think they kick it up a notch, increased the program, and then brought Eagle along. But what's mind-blowing right now is, who would have thought, 5, 10, 15 years ago that we'd eventually get to where not only disc golfers are training in the off season, but they're actually getting flown internationally over to Switzerland to train for the disc golf season. Like, I think that's just kind of really shows where we're progressing in the game, and it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, we've seen you and a couple others actually do, off-season training, workouts, stay in shape, but I didn't know if I would ever see the day that we see disc golf specific training show up.
Right.
And so that's an exciting venture as far as I know, because we've seen it with a couple different aspects and a couple different people these days, and I'm excited for that future.
So speaking of the combine and kind of a coaching mentality, and we'll call it even almost recruitment, I think that would be a fair word, or maybe
the team tryout. Yeah,
team tryout. Where can have the combine dates and locations been announced? Any of the specifics there? Because it's usually whenever we start talking about big, high-level things about projects, people then immediately want to jump on specifics. But hey, can you give us any details or insights where you think things might be?
I'll say check out discmania.net for all details on the Discmania Combine. But I'll tell you right now, we're going to be hitting Portland, Oregon, sometime before the Beaver State Fling, so around early June. We're looking at hitting Madison, Wisconsin. And I think around August time, and then we're trying to look at dates for a Raleigh and possibly in Orlando or a Jacksonville. So trying to hit some different regions we haven't hit in the past, and just trying to give a lot of players in certain regions an opportunity to come out to these combines.
Awesome. And speaking of content on discmania.net, last week, it was right around the time of our podcast. It might have been the day after. I think they got us by a day for us to be able to announce it. We talked about Dynamite, for instance, becoming an actual employee and being a sales representative of sorts. I talked to him a little bit about it this weekend. We also saw Zach Parcell, who's going to be joining and helping keep the website up to date with some stories and other content. And then Stephen Bro out of the East Coast, I saw that he's going to be joining, doing some disc golf park work and some other things. And then, of course, yourself listed as the head coach and the team coordinator. Awesome to see these moves all taking place. And how was that?
think they
called it the Year of the Shield.
Year of the Shield.
There you go. Yeah, it's just a natural transition from a player, trying to be more responsible within the business side of disc golf. I've been involved with UC and Erno and the whole crew at Discmania for, since 2010, as they brought me in as a sponsor player, but doing a lot more for the betterment of the game, trying to get more out there. Content wise, I'm going to be helping with Zach a lot, doing more content, adding more stories, more instructional write-ups, more travel guides, trying to access, just my experience of traveling and playing disc golf, and really trying to put together some really cool, maybe travel guides where you travel to a certain area of the country or through the world, and where you go, where do you play, and where do you stay, kind of thing. But also going to be doing a lot more stuff with Disc Golf Park, doing disc golf course design, and then helping with the team, as far as being a head coach, but also a coordinator, trying to just keep everything in line. Like you said, I do wear a lot of hats, but it actually keeps things exciting and makes things fun. And it's just great to be involved so heavily into the game, 33 years, after the fact, after starting at a very young age. But it's just great to be a part of it, this many years afterwards. And it's just good opportunities that I just don't want to, take for granted. And it's been a lot of hard work to get to this point, but I got a good crew that's going to help, guide the way. And I think the Year Shield, it's definitely making some big moves this year.
Well, we had Paul on last week, and he told us we need to start asking the hard questions. So I'm going to bring this one up to you. You're the Discmania team coordinator, but I saw a couple weeks ago that you posted you're still sponsored by Innova.
Correct.
Where's the overlap in
They
that?
call that double dipping, Johnny. That's disc golf rich and double dipping. No.
Do they know each other? So what's going on? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I get that a lot. No, I do get the royalty for just being a long-time Innova player for 19 years, and I've been sponsored by Discmania for the last 7 years. And it does cross over, but it's all within the Innova family. It's all the Innova umbrella. And, Innova makes Innova discs, but Innova also produces and manufactures Discmania discs. They do have different game plans as far as, how they release their discs and different marketing and promotional stuff. Discmania has been pretty aggressive on both sides of the marketing promotional thing. So it's cool to see the big company and then the more maybe promotional heavy marketing company, and they both have their benefits. And it's just really cool to be involved with both those after all these years. And they got some great teams behind them. So I'm very grateful to be part of both teams, Innova and Discmania. And I'm the only player at this point that is still co-sponsored by both. So
yeah, that's what I was getting at. We've seen a lot of the separation between the two teams, less overlap now, and then there's you sitting there holding them both together.
Well, and you talk about
the veteran. I think I still get that kind of right. Yeah,
you earn it. And when you talk about all the different hats and different things that you're doing, and you're keeping yourself more than both plenty busy, and as you said, that keeps things new and fresh and exciting. On one thing that's, we'll say, off of your plate for this year, as we kind of talked about the news a few months ago, UC pulling back on the World Tour, saying that he wants to get things where he envisioned them to be before moving forward. Hopefully we're going to see that resurgence in 2019. Do you still see yourself? Are you going to be traveling to these events? Are you going to now be a player because some of your media efforts will be a little lessened, or won't they? I guess is maybe even the bigger question.
That's a great question, actually. Yeah, it's just what it is. Disc Golf World Tour was a great concept for the first 2 years, and we realized that we're putting out a lot of capital to fund and make these events operational. And it wasn't just throughout the U.S., it wasn't just a national tour or a pro tour within the U.S. It was a global tour, and that's kind of what UC wanted to bring to the table, bringing it over to Czech Republic 2 years in a row, Finland, Sweden, Australia, U.S. for USDGC. La Mirada was the first Disc Golf World Tour in 2016. So really trying to make it a more global tour. It's just it might be before its time as well. You're really trying to pull the trigger and make some big things happen. And it's great to see those kind of things. It's like I look up to him as a very good visionary, as a mentor in so many ways. And for him to pull the trigger on such a big concept was awesome, and I support him for it. right now we're going to take a little break and kind of reevaluate things for 2019. And we'll see what happens with that. But it's just good to see these organized tour, these professional tours out there. You know, what Steve Dodge does with the Pro Tour, it's great, and we need that. You know, with the PDJ doing their national tour, we need these kind of things to put the professionals in the spotlight. And as far as me maybe downgrading and not doing as much media this year, I might kick up the playing side a little bit. I do plan on. I thought about it just about a week ago, but I think I'm going to go to Konopiste, Czech Republic again. I have a great time over there when I have the last 2 seasons, and I plan on going over there to play in the 2018 Konopiste Open.
Awesome.
That was going to lead me to, what does your 2018 tour schedule look like for you?
At least in terms of playing.
do you plan on bringing the family when you're in the States, or is it just going to be an Avery tour?
I think when it's close, I'm going to definitely bring them along. Obviously, it's a lot easier to travel solo to a lot of these events, more cost effective, especially when they're long international flights. But like I said, I do plan on playing Worlds. I do plan on playing the Konopiste. There is a big tournament called the Open in Sweden, Gothenburg, Sweden, at a really nice facility called Ale Disc Golf Center, and I considered that as well. I've been definitely reached out for playing, that event. I might check that out this year, and then I'm playing Masters Cup. I might play the San Francisco Open, the Pro Tour, and we'll see. I might fit on a few local events as well. I usually play a couple of local events in Oklahoma later in the season as well. So it's probably gonna be about the same, maybe about 10 or 15 events this year. I haven't really dialed in the schedule like I need to, but I'll take a look at that over the next couple of weeks. But there's a couple of big ones that I'll definitely attend if given the chance again. And another one would be in Norway called the PCS Open. It's a one-day C-tier event that it's probably the highest paid C-tier event for one day in the world. So they put on a great show, and it's a beautiful place in the world. So I might try to make efforts to go back there this year again too, if I'm invited, obviously.
I think about Norway. I think of the great times that we had there. I was just there the one
Absolutely.
time. You, along with Val and Nate, and over at the Sula Open, tremendous time. But you've been over there a lot of times, and a great question off the board is, how many courses, how many countries? I know you're very much a list kind of guy. How many courses, how many countries have you played in now?
I'm a numbers guy, and I'm still currently sitting at 998 courses. Kind of sitting 2 back of the 4 digits. I'm going to try to reevaluate where I want to play for that 1,000th. I've been asked and recruited, and even kind of brought along saying, hey, you need to play my course. You need to check my course off the list. I want you to put my course on the map. So I need to reevaluate some things as well, but I want to get that 1,000th this year, and I definitely will. But it's sitting at 20 countries right now, which is probably the most for any U.S. player. I know Derek Robbins from the UK has about 27, I think maybe 28 when he plays in Ethiopia this spring. So he's the one who has the most courses, and I'm saying most courses, most country played. And it's just kind of almost of a given, though. When you're in Europe, the countries over there are almost like states, and it's a little easier to travel and get to those. But congrats to him for having so many, and it kind of drives me to go out there and travel as much as I do and play as much as I do. But it's been a lot of fun to even think that I even got to 1,000, all this way. It's been a lot of years and a lot of courses running around playing, especially for tournaments, but on the casual side as well. And it's just cool to see what, there's a lot of disc golf course collectors out there these days that are trying to hit the 1,000th mark, or even now 2,000, I think is the carrying number. I think the highest rate is like 1,600 courses. And you look at Hausfeld back in the day, he was trying to get this 1,000th mark a long time ago. And at one point he had half the courses played in the world.
It's so much easier.
No one will ever hit.
It's so much
easier.
I could hit 500 in the Midwest.
Oh yeah,
easily. And that
Wisconsin,
just
Minnesota, those two.
Yeah, there's 600 combined right there.
Yeah, and so any plans? I mean, when you do hit 1,000, any plans for any sort of media? Are you going to have a filmed or recorded round? Are you going to have some sort of
right?
I could see there being a really cool, I don't want to say retrospective, but a really cool media thing about your 1,000th course.
And that's why I think I held off on it for a little bit, because I wanted to do it and do it right. I wanted to make sure that there was some good publicity with it. There have been rounds covered on the 1,000th course for other players that have been recorded and filmed and documented. But I think I kind of held off a little bit to make sure I do it and do it right. And I think that's a great idea to kind of build it up a little bit, make it to what it is, even maybe go through the montage of all the different courses I played and go through. And I have a bunch of pictures from various courses or disc golf baskets or me standing next to the sign in front of the course. I think we can make a really cool thing with it. And I think it really does. It promotes disc golf in a very positive way. And I said, it's great to see all these disc golf course collectors out there doing this, because what it really does, it promotes physical activity and outdoor recreation. And the more they get out there and play, it's great for them, but it's great for everybody to see them out there being as active as they are.
Awesome.
Do you feel like, and we just talked about the numbers of them, but do you feel like there might be a practical number in mind when you do hang up the bag for the last time, whether that's 1,200 or 1,600 or 2,400 courses? You've got another 45 or 50-ish years of playing golf, probably, potentially, hopefully. Is there any number that you think you might get to? I mean, you're not quite as fast and furious as you maybe were a few years ago on getting all those new courses, but any number in mind that you think you might end up retiring on?
I think 2,000 would be a pretty good goal.
Okay.
I think I can get another 1,000. 2,500, I think, is as fast as courses are going in these days. I don't think 2,500 is out of reach either. I don't know. I think I'm actually playing more courses these days than I ever have before, just because I knew what the number was. I started tallying my course about 7-8 years ago during an off season, and I had about 300-400 courses, and I thought I had a lot more. But the thing is, we go to play these tournaments year after year, and we play the same courses year after year, and really to go out of your way or off the beaten path to play some courses during the week or during some Fun Day Monday activities or Travel Tuesdays. It's really trying to get out there and play. You really got to make an effort to go out and check these courses out and check them off the list. And I'm doing that more so now than ever before, because I think I'm setting little goals in between, trying to play the oldest course in every state or trying to play the oldest course in every country. Little things like that drive me to go out there and play as much as I do now. And I actually hit 113 courses last season and about 85, 90 the season before. So I'm on a pretty good pace. I'm not really going out there and attacking them like a lot. I know there's a few other guys out there that are going and playing, 35, 40 courses in 2 weeks and going on like a little mini vacation or a little mini run on a road trip. But I play them when I can. When it works out on maybe like a little road trip with a family, I'll go out and play a course. I'll grab, 3 discs and a towel and go out there and play around real quick. But I think more and more, I think it's going to be easier to play a lot more courses. And I think, like I said, I don't think 2,500 is out of reach. That's another 1,500 from now. But yeah, like you said, I got some time.
Well, and you can, as you said, I think just the strategy of being able to knock them out a little bit more frequently, the new ones. I think, when at one point when if you visited Wisconsin once or twice a year, you basically played the same 3 or 4 courses. And now, if you visit Wisconsin, it may not be for a tournament, and you could play 3 or 4 courses in just a day or two. And so I see how you could rack them up a little bit quicker. Is there anything else? We're going to wrap up with you here pretty soon. We've got some really exciting news. I know one of your teammates, and Hannah, has been working on some great stuff over at Eagles Wings and
Awesome.
some contests and things they have going on to help keep to get more youngsters playing and supporting them. Is there anything else in 2018 that we should be looking for on the radar? I think you've listed a half dozen things. Do you have any more?
Yeah, it's going to keep me busy. I really didn't think about 2018, transitioning the way it has, and it's definitely been a lot in the past 2 weeks. But I think I'm going to keep myself busy with a lot of things involved with disc golf. But over the last couple of years, it's been more about family more than ever. I got a 2-year-old going to be 3 here soon, and I got the family, and we're living out in Oklahoma. I'm actually on my wife's parents' property, so Jim and Deb Taylor. And they own it's the Taylor Ranch out here. So it's 300 acres, and there's 2 disc golf courses out here. So it's the lodge at Taylor Ranch, and I have 2 disc golf courses at my disposal. I'm the head groundskeeper, so I keep busy keeping these courses maintained as much as possible. But we're also building a house out here.
Oh,
Over
really?
the next year, we're going to be building our own house on the backside of the property. And I need a place to raise a family. So it's kind of just worked out that, we have this land and a lot of it. But we have 2 disc golf courses and an awesome family. And it's going to be really cool to see the development of this house and this property over the next couple of years. And that's going to keep me busy aside from everything I'm doing with disc golf these days. So, you got to put your you got to go other directions sometimes, and family is very important these days. I'm going to be doing as much as possible with the family, but also still being very, very involved with disc golf.
Well, you speak of building a house and doing all of those things and being the head groundskeeper. You're not fooling me. I've seen the work that your wife puts in out there. I've seen her post pictures. She gets her hands dirty and she gets in there and gets work done on the course. And I'm sure she'll be out there constructing components of your house as well. She's a very talented individual. And so naturally, I mean, whether it's on the board or not, did I just hear, were you hinting at breaking news, an exclusive here on SmashBoxx that you're expecting another kid? Or did I just make that up?
I think you just made that up.
Oh, okay.
We'd love to be actually announcing that. It'd be a good time to do it here on this podcast of all things, obviously. But no, we love another child. We have been trying, and he's almost 3 years old now, and it's been a wild ride. Taking him around, traveling. You're talking about being on tour with a child. We traveled all 2015 with him, and that's when we stopped by Milwaukee for a nice night out on the town, and brought our 8-month-old child with us at the time. But traveling with him was great. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't easy by any means, but it was an adventure and experience I'll never forget. And there's been a lot of great stories behind that. We're well documented. Obviously he'll never remember any of this stuff, but
sure,
we'll take him all these cool places again, years to come. And I think Nate Sexton's actually gonna be doing the same thing this coming season on tour with a newborn. So I think he's well prepared for it, but it's a different lifestyle entirely. It's not the same when it was before, traveling in a motorhome, getting out and playing disc golf anytime you wanted. You got to worry about your wife and kid in the motorhome when you're traveling too. So it's cool to see that's kind of a trendy thing now, but I think they're going to do great with it.
Yeah, you think you're prepared, but you're never really prepared. Things pop up, and it's kind of ridiculous. Well, we're going to look forward to having you back about 5 days after the next one is born. Keep it a nice tradition, and we'll make sure it happens.
More airtime for the Jenkins family. All right, Avery. Well, I appreciate all the updates. It's been great. It's been far too long. We'll have to definitely check in with you more often. Hopefully we'll find a way. I won't be nearly as international again this year as you typically are, but we always seem to cross paths and have some great stories to exchange, and looking forward to catching up with you a little bit more as the year wears on for us.
Absolutely. Let's do some more broadcasting together. That was a lot of fun in Vegas last year.
Yeah, it was.
Had a great time doing that.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Avery also was my co-commentator as we were broadcasting the Bowling Green Am Championships in our first month of broadcasting back in 2014. We had Jamie Thomas on a camera. We had Simon Lizotte, whole previews. It was a beautiful setup, and we get the whole gang back together and keep putting more content out there. We love it. All right, pal. Well, again, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for all the insights, and looking forward to hearing more also about that 1,000th course. If it's anywhere within driving distance of me, make sure that I know so I can come do some coverage of it as well. I'd love to watch that all go down. It would be pretty awesome.
If that's the case, I'll definitely notify you for sure.
I appreciate that.
Again, guys, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Always fun to talk to you guys. You're doing great. Keep the media side alive. Keep the disc golf media side going. So
appreciate it, buddy.
For checking in.
All right.
Don't be a stranger in Milwaukee, man.
All right.
We got more breweries. They're popping up every day. Come
you got to check those off the list too.
Exactly.
You guys.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks, Avery.
Have a good night.
See ya. And again, of course, your 2009 world champion did it in extra playoff holes. Maybe
Yeah.
that's redundant. Extra playoff
Extra-
holes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
It's a little redundant.
Did it in playoff holes against Josh Anthon over there at Blue Valley Park, 2009. Feels like yesterday. We didn't even talk about the idea of him really playing in that Masters division. Avery's been pretty steadfast on the idea that he doesn't feel like he either wants to or needs to dip into that Masters field just yet.
Not yet. He doesn't need to.
If you're still good and you still got it.
Someone on the board asked, is Avery still competitive? And it's a tough question because I think he could be competitive with a couple, I'd say a month or two of practice. The problem is, just like us, he is
Preoccupied?
He's preoccupied. It's almost inconsistent because you could play 2 or 3 events and then you're off for 2 or 3 weeks doing media or doing whatever you're doing. So, and then you get back in the groove, and you really, if you want to be competitive with the people that are out there now, your Simons and Macbeth and Wysocki and Yuli and whoever's out there, you have to be consistent. You have to be putting 100% effort in, and you can be cashing like Avery does and not be 100% in, but it's really tough to be at that top level competitive.
Yeah, his 1,000+ rating will carry him into a cash spot every single weekend when he goes out and plays.
Oh, sure.
But as you said, there's now a little bit more separation from that guy who, like himself, who's now naturally talented and gifted, but from there versus being able to hang for that for those podium spots, that's a little bit more challenging in today's climate for sure. So, but anytime he steps on the course, you can't count him out, and he is able to manage both playing and all the other things that he's doing, and he's doing it very well and enjoying life to the fullest, and then some. Certainly one of our most well-traveled disc golfers of all time, and
yep.
I know he loves that title, as he should, because he's been out there experiencing the world like so many of us would love to do at that level. It's been pretty awesome.
Well, we're going to get the Leathermans on pretty quick, but before that, we want to talk about a quick new segment here. We're going to talk about the Dynamic Disc Winter Marksman League. So, I mean, it's hard not to have heard because they're very good with social media. If you haven't heard, Dynamic Disc does a basically what it is. They do a winter putting league, and the winter putting league is on the smaller Marksman basket. So you need to find or start one yourself. A league, you and I had talked about that in the area. You can go to udisc.com/marksman, and they have a running tally of top regions, top players. You can click on players' names, and it'll show you who is currently in the lead. Right now, I'm looking at the top regions in the UDisc Marksman League, and no surprise, I think that's why they wanted us to talk about it. Number 1, I believe it's Rock Chalk Jayhawk, Kansas. Kansas is putting up 780 points with their top players out of Newton, which is Smitty and Disker. Emporia has the next 2 with, get this,
What?
Jeremy Rusko
Huh?
with 159 points.
Do they keep him blindfolded like in the videos?
They might. Number 4, Eric McCabe behind Jeremy Rusko by a single point.
Ouch.
And then Newton, somebody named Troy at 153 points. So what it does, it looks like it takes the top 5, your top 5 scorers, and that is your region. So right now, Kansas is in the lead. I saw Wisconsin up there earlier, so maybe it's constantly adjusting based on what week you've played and what day your particular event is. Number 2, Iowa. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Wisconsin. And number 5, Tennessee. No surprise, a lot of hotbed of disc golf action in these particular states.
Yeah, and as you look down throughout the states, there's definitely some recognizable names. Some of our top players or promoters that are out there also participating, which I think is awesome to see. You just mentioned a few people out of Kansas, and then I take a look and I see out of, for instance, out of Tennessee, I see Zach Melton. Of course, no surprise there when you're looking at some of these scores as you're going down the list. And then I'm looking at all the different states and regions represented from Washington, Oregon, New York, Minnesota, so on and so forth. So if you're not familiar, go out there. You can find yourself. You can then start a league if you are not obviously participating in one, and get on board with it. I see the global leaderboard, and I'll admit we don't know
we're
the
not,
actual name here.
Correct. And I want to say that someone asked on the board, there is a particular format to this.
Correct.
It's not just make up something as you go. You have 3 rounds of, I believe, 5 different stations. And you've got a 20-foot station, 25, 33. I'm sorry, these look like they are, the first 3 look like they are on standard size baskets. The last 2 look like they're on Marksman baskets, according to the little icon here. So you got 20, 25, 33, and then 25 and 33. So, and then you do 3 rounds of that, and you add up your total score. And it looks like, yeah, we're looking at number 1. Who's number 1, Terry?
Jump Putt Jesus out of Wisconsin Rapids, which is about 2 to 2.5 hours northwest of where we're at the moment. I wish I knew the real name, unless I'm guessing that's not a legal name. Jump Putt Jesus, though, is listed as your current leader with 173 points. So, out of Wisconsin, which is great to see. And then it keeps the running total for all of the participants there. Looks like it's all the way down to 100th place. Yep. Again, all out on udis.com/marksman is where you can find this.
This global leaderboard is as of the last 7 days. So Jump Putt Jesus, taking number 1 right now at 173, had a really good week.
And as Seth out there on the board is saying, the first 3 are on the standard, the second 2 are on the Marksman. So, and it's constantly updating. Big Putt Bill Sherman out in California is telling us hit F5, that little trick I taught Dana earlier. And I'm sure there is a refresh automatically built in. So UDisc is probably screaming, don't hit F5. They're constantly coming in. Right now, one of my favorite stats in looking at this is it says that there's been 193,085 putts, of which 85,429 have been made with an overall accuracy of 44%. And I think that's awesome just to see that many putts taking place as part of this overall league.
So as a consolidated effort, we're not a good putter. 44%. That's under half.
It is, but I would say there's probably less 1,000 rated players than the over,
sure.
1,000 rated players. But this is a great way to get better.
And if you go down a little bit further, you can see the global standings right now. No surprise, one of your world champions, Eric McCabe, is in first place at 684 points. 170, 172, 168, 174. He missed a week. And it looks like they knocked a week off. So it looks like maybe they eliminate your lowest 2 weeks. So because I'm looking at a couple other people who have 2 weeks knocked off. I don't know how long. You'll have to forgive me. I'm exactly sure how long a particular session is. But
I think by next week we're going to have a few more of the details so we can elaborate a little bit further. Sure. But we wanted to make sure it was out there and let everyone know that all this great stuff's going on with the Marksman leagues.
And just to show, number 1, Eric McCabe out of Emporia. Number 2. Liev Aspen out of Trondheim, Norway. So this is a world putting league. This isn't just U.S. Followed up by Dixon Jowers, Taylor P., and Mark Van Manen out of Iowa. So congratulations to the top 5. Hopefully next week we can take a look at this and see a couple more people maybe move up. I'd like to see someone knock EMAC off there.
Yeah, they take
he gets too much credit.
The best 4 out of 6 is, and Seth from the Disc Golf Pro Tour said that he played last week, so he'll make sure to give us all the details. And we're going to communicate with Bobby Brown. I think there's going to be even some kind of giveaway that's related to the Marksman League as we talk about them and as it unfolds week in and week out. So very awesome to say. A funny question on the board was how many falling putts are taking place at these breweries or falling over putts. I'm not sure. Do you think alcohol might influence some of these statistics?
I think so. And I think you should get bonus points for putting with a drink in your hand and not spilling. Okay. It's got to be not spilling.
I'm sure there's some house rules probably that are taking place.
Some side games maybe.
Possibly. Something like that.
All right.
All right. Well, in just a moment here, we're going to have Hannah and Dustin join us from Eagles Wings. They're going to talk about what's going on. Last year, we saw them with a contest. They had some great giveaways and things that people can earn or submit for to become part of. And this year, it sounds like things are rolling in the same direction, and there might be even some new news that goes along with it. So, in just a moment, I think we're going to be able to bring them in once Johnny makes a slight adjustment.
Make a slight adjustment on our side just so we have, so the video looks a little bit nicer so we can get them both in.
I'd like to thank Avery again for joining us. He's posted out on Facebook that it was his favorite podcast of all time and that he wants all of the Smashies to go out there and hit the like button. Well,
all
thanks,
right, so
Avery.
let's bring in our current guests. Actually, before I do that, let me make sure I check that.
Ooh, Johnny,
otherwise,
checking boxes,
otherwise
folks.
there wouldn't have been any audio. So
all right.
Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome back to the show, I should say.
How we doing?
Hey, thank you. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. 2018, and Hannah, I've got one in the bag of calling you Heather so far. So I've only got about 40 more of those this year.
Yeah. My goal this season is to get on more lead cards so that maybe you'll actually remember my name is Hannah.
I remember it. I just like to gaff it.
Well, it's Hannah Leatherman, so it kind of runs together. I kind of get it, but you you shouldn't make you don't. You know, you don't mess up Dustin's name.
I don't claim to be a professional either. So, all right, guys. Tell us what you guys have going on. There was an article, I think, on the PDGA.com recently, and I think you guys have some great news and updates for the world here.
Yes, we've been talking about our junior grant. So we appreciate you guys allowing us to come on. This is our second year offering this program through Eagles Wings, and you guys allowed us to talk about it last year. Got some great exposure between you guys and the PDGA writing an article. And last year we had over 32 kids apply, which was really cool for the first year doing it. So this year we have some new things going on. So instead of offering it for 4 grant winners, we're offering 6 spots. So we're upping that by 2. And then we added a bunch of new sponsors, which are going to tell you what's involved with it. And this year, they'll be able to, it includes paid entry to either Junior Worlds, run by Dynamic down in Emporia, Kansas, or the United States Junior Disc Golf Championship, which will be up in Vermont. If you haven't heard about that, that'll be at Smuggler's Notch. Also, 2 great events that we've had the privilege of working with the kind of the planning and preparation. And Hannah and I will be at both events helping with the team that runs that. We're really looking forward to that. We really enjoyed being part of it. But so we're really excited about offering this junior grant that will allow 6 people an easier time to get there. Obviously, there's more expenses that will go along with it, but yeah, we're really excited about that. So so last year we had 4 winners who were awesome. So we tracked them through the year. They had great seasons, and it was really cool to kind of see them. So it really made us want to ramp it up again for this year.
Now, for those that maybe need a refresher, and so we can share it with everybody, give everyone an overview about Eagles Wings, what you guys do, kind of what your mission is.
Yeah, sure. We're part of a larger sports ministry. So Hannah and I have kind of headed up the disc golf branch of that ministry under the name Eagles Wings. So what we do is probably the biggest thing that we do is we offer a chapel program at a lot of the major disc golf tournaments. So we hope to be at pretty much all the Pro Tours, NTs, and majors this year within the United States. A lot of the other sports have chapel programs that go along with them, the major sports. So we're trying to bring that to disc golf for those who are interested. We also do a lot with youth and family programs. And then we do some international things. We built some courses overseas. We've been on here talking with you guys about Costa Rica and Zambia, and we're going to continue to do some of those things. So that's a little bit about what we do overall as an organization.
Well, I remember talking, of course, with the international travel. Do you guys have a place in mind or any kind of specifics that you're lining up here for your next trip?
Yeah. Probably the most exciting thing that's happening right now is in Zambia. We did that course 2 years ago, and they just held their first tournament. So we've been kind of walking along with them as the course grows and the interest grows. So it wasn't a PDGA event, but they ran a little tournament. Everybody loved it, had a great time. And then out of that, one of the staff members that's from Zambia, we worked it out connecting with Johannes from Ethiopia. He's going to actually go and play in that tournament. So Johannes and John from iFling Plastic, they're going to take care of all his kind of needs in country, and we're just getting him plane tickets. And they also bought him a PDGA membership. So he's the first PDGA member of Zambia, which is really cool. So we're hoping to return to both Zambia and Costa Rica. Both of them have identified parks that they want to put in, our parks or places to put in another course. So there'll be 2 courses in those locations. And then we're also working on finalizing details for a Brazil trip and a Mexico trip to, again, put in disc golf courses. So all of that, when we do the international stuff, especially with disc golf, it's a lot of challenges with how do you get the baskets there, what kind of baskets you use, security, all those things. So working out all those details, and we hope to run all 4 of those trips, within the next 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
In a couple of years, you're going to be pushing Avery Jenkins for that most traveled in most countries. That sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, it's awesome. We really enjoyed it.
Well, and you also have courses that Avery never gets to play, because if you guys set up a course for a weekend and then take it down, you'd be like, oh, Avery, you didn't get to play that. No, hopefully they remain there so everyone can partake.
Yeah, for sure. No, Avery is welcome to come to Zambia anytime.
Clearly, you just mentioned a few of the challenges that present themselves. I think about, we take for granted you travel from tournament to tournament, or you go to a Worlds, or you go somewhere and you bring your basket, you bring your bag or your cart or all your disc golf supplies, and you don't really think much about it. The only time you maybe really consider it is, oh man, I might have to pull back a little bit because I'm going to fly to an event. But when you guys are going international, you have customs, like you said, security, and all of these other things to be concerned about. What have been some of the biggest challenges? Is it the cost of the transporting these goods, or is it getting them through some kind of customs or anything like that? What are some of those exact challenges?
Yeah. So both times we've done the course designs so far, we built the courses, or we built the baskets in country.
Okay.
So there's actually been welders that build the baskets there, as close as they can to PDGA baskets. So that's allowed us to, get the baskets, and we haven't figured out the best way to get them into a small country like Zambia or, Costa Rica. But even just, we'll take portables. The past couple years, Innova has donated portables, and they've donated discs. So that has worked out. We take that, we leave the equipment there. I would say the biggest, challenges are actually getting the baskets made there, getting countries that, different cultures, figuring things out, working, different paces of life, I guess you would say, kind of getting all that organized. And then also, like, for example, in Zambia, they had no idea what the sport was. So it was us sending them things in advance, and our team was there for 8 days, and put in the whole course during that time. So it was, a lot of prep work and things like that. But so far, both trips have gone really smoothly. With the Zambia course, this past year, actually, one of our biggest concerns is always security. How do you, keep the baskets from getting scrapped, basically? And they actually had a basket stolen last year, but liked it so much that they actually built a new one and replaced it. So that was good to hear.
Have you guys had any challenges with the discs themselves? I mean, I think about, some people are familiar with Frisbees, and obviously similar shape, but a little bit different design. Just people wondering what they are. I mean, I think about the times you still to this day go through an airport. Occasionally you'll get the cool TSA reps like, oh yeah, that's disc golf. I know what you're talking about. And other people are like, why do you have a bag full of plates? Yeah, like, has there been any kind of issues with anything like that?
I think there's been a few issues with those kinds of things, but I think that for the most part, it hasn't been too bad. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, the real issue is, the only discs they're going to have in the country are the ones that we provide. So we can only take so many with us. So I think to Costa Rica, we took 150 discs, and we probably lost 10 while we were there. Just getting thrown all over the place. we ran this one clinic in like a soccer field, and then across the street there was just like this sea of houses, of roofs. But there was a really tall fence, seemed like it was okay. And this kid just threw this great throw. Wind took it over the fence, and it just disappeared into this like sea of tin roof houses, never to be seen again. So I'm not sure what they thought as they, found this disc, what they thought it was, but yeah, so that's the biggest issue. But we have teams that go for different sports. That's one of the nice things about being part of a large organization. Teams go both those places 2-3 times a year, and then we'll send additional discs, mostly donated by people around the country that just give us old discs, or again Innova or Dynamic Disc giving us disc as donations and sending them over. So, but really it's hard to keep them up to date because most of them are not going to be buying discs online or things like that.
Sure.
Well, that brings up a good point. Somebody asked if someone did want to donate a disc, short of seeing you on the course, is there some place they can send it or a way that you can get a hold of it?
Yes, there is. They can. Probably the best thing to do would be to send me a message or an email, and I'll give them the address, and they can ship it to. We collect them at our home office, and then we take them over as teams come in. So we actually have a really cool partnership with Upper Park Design. They send us their warranty bags, and then they all go over. So anything bag that comes back to them damaged comes to us, and then we send it to one of those countries.
That's awesome. Now, speaking of donations, you talk about the disc. How in the world are you guys able to fund these efforts? Is it mainly come in from a donation perspective, or I think you apply with the PDGA in some sense, but how is the overall funding usually happen?
Yeah, for the trip specifically, the PDGA has given us the Marco Polo grant. And different levels both years, which is huge. That's an awesome program. If you don't know about it, it's a really cool thing the PDGA does to get courses started in new countries. And they're PDGA has just been awesome to work with. And then we typically, both times have taken a team between 8 and 10 people, and they raise money to cover their own support. So maybe they're doing, fundraisers or little tournaments or whatever it is. They raise money to cover their own travel costs, and then they raise some additional that covers, costs for in-country, the baskets, pay the welder, and then most of the equipment we've taken, again, has been donated. Innova has been great. Both years donated a ton of stuff. Actually have stamped the disc with Eagles Wings stamps on them, given us, portable baskets, and then this past year, Dynamic gave us quite a few discs as well. So just those donations have been huge and helpful, and then again just the staff raising money, and then as a ministry we have people that support those efforts even outside of disc golf, which is really helpful.
Awesome. Now, can you guys give some specifics? You've expanded the grants from 4 recipients up to 6, which is obviously very significant. What does one need to do, and what are you guys looking for in the application process?
Yeah, so the grant applications are available on our website. You can find our details it's eagleswingsdiscgolf.org, or you can check out our Facebook page. That'll get you there. And we just opened the grant, the application process, I think last week, and we've already had a handful come in. And then that will close on February 16th. So you have about a month from today to fill out your application. Any junior that is planning to go to either of those events is welcome to come. And then we'll announce the grant winners on March 6th, hopefully on the show. That's the plan. That's a Tuesday. So we can come back and let people know. And basically, it's an application process that talks about what are your disc golf goals, how do you want to improve? Because we want people that, are going to excel in the course. But at the same time, there's a project plan that they'll submit that will talk about something that they'll do for their disc golf community. We want them to serve in some capacity. So last year, all the grant winners, did projects through the year, which is really cool to see, kind of pictures and videos that came back in.
And this might be, maybe it's something you have off the top of your head because you're way more prepared than we are. Any idea roughly how much your grants have awarded people overall when it comes to all the expenses and product and everything else, the grand total? Any idea of like $1 million? How much have you guys given out to your grant winners thus far?
For this specific program, the junior program?
Yeah, for the last couple of years combined. You have any idea?
Yeah. Well, last year was the first year we did it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
So last year was the first year. We paid entry. We provided a meal for the families while they're there, and then gave them all the things that our sponsors contributed. So, but this year we are upping that, which is really exciting. And then we have something that we haven't announced yet that we can share with everybody as well. So this year, all 6 of the junior grant winners will get paid entry to the, either USJDGC or Junior Worlds. And then they'll also get dinner for themselves and any family members they bring one night while they're there. We'll bring everybody together. And that's, again, covered by, the support that Innova provides us through the year. It's covered by donors. It's covered by Mr. Disc Golf. He's a local guy to us, represents DD, runs many tournaments. Very cool guy. Also donating some money towards that, which is helpful. But then on top of that, all the grant winners will get one of the Upper Park Draw V2 bags. They'll get a $50 online gift card to Disc Baron. They'll get the 1-year Kids Disc Golf membership, which they just released on their Facebook page. Has all kinds of stuff, really cool. They'll get a disc that's autographed by Ricky Usaki, so Saki Bomb disc. Eric and Tina are donating a whale sack and a whale pants disc. UDisc is giving them a year-long membership on their UDisc Pro, and then 6 months for all the applicants, up to 100 applicants, which is really cool. And then Paragon is making a custom jersey for them with their name on the back. So if you saw last year at the Next Gen tournament, the finals, Silas Schultz, he was actually one of the grand winners. He was wearing his jersey, so he had the name on the back, really cool looking. Miles does a great job there. And then on top of that, Dynamic Disc is coming on this year, and they're making a Dymax disc. It'll be, one disc for all the grand winners, but then their names and info, maybe a picture, I'm not sure what that'll look like, will be plugged in, and they'll get 3 custom discs of themselves. And then DD also agreed to sell them for family and friends, with part of the proceeds going back to them. So all of the, it's basically a big group of people in the disc golf community have come on board and said, hey, we want to support this and contribute, which has been really cool. I think all the kids are just going to be really excited, those who win and start getting all these things in the mail.
I don't care what Ellen or Oprah are giving away this year.
Eagles wings.
You get a disc, and you get a disc, and you get a bag. You guys are way better than those guys. If there's still time, I'm in the process of getting some Disc Golf Guy disc stamped up. So if you wanted one for each winner along with a towel, I would be willing to donate a disc and a towel for each of the recipients. If there's time to still contribute to you guys, I would be glad to do so. If that works.
Yeah,
if not, catch me next year.
I think we can make it happen. I think we can do that. That's
all right.
great.
Well, I would love to do so.
Yeah, we already consider you guys kind of a sponsor of the grant. Let us come on here and share about it. Allows a lot more kids to know about it. So, but we have one really cool thing that we haven't announced yet. That
more?
A Smashbox exclusive?
Just wait, there's more.
Yeah.
What?
This is exclusive, and this is beyond what we would have anticipated by any means. So, cool story. In 2016. We were waiting to come on here for to talk about Zambia. And right before us, Nate Doss was talking about his junior grant, if you remember that. So he did 1 year, he offered the junior grant. So I listened to that, read about it, thought, hey, that's really cool. That kind of inspired the whole process for 2017. I actually reached out to Nate and said, hey, is this all right if we do something similar? And he was all for it. So this year, reached out to him and said, hey, we're doing this again. If you want to throw a signed disc by you and Val in, feel free. We'd love to do that. And so through a little bit of communication, I woke up to an email this morning that he is actually taking all those resources he had in 2016 and contributing that to the grant this year. So he's contributing $1,000, which will then go to, some of that will go to the entry fee, but most of it will go to travel expenses for the families that win. So all 6 participants will get at least $125 towards travel, gas, food, whatever they want. And he's doing the tour disc that Nate Doss Buzz from 2018 that will be signed. And on top of that, because of Nate, all 6 kids will get a free pair of Keens.
Wow.
So Nate really, took what I thought was a really cool package to, a whole other level. Really pumped. Obviously, everybody knows that Nate and Val are tremendous ambassadors, and, don't need to say that again, but just, for us, this was really an awesome thing. And just, if you see Nate out on the course this year, make sure to, tell him thank you for all that he does, not just for the disc golf community, but for the kids coming up.
Yeah, he's
I
one of a kind. And
I offer a disc, and now Nate comes in and gives away shoes for everybody.
Well, I'm just glad Nate didn't try to slip any bevel in there.
I was going to say, yeah, that seems to be a little more age appropriate.
Correct.
That he's not sending over a 6-pack of beer for each of the children.
Hey, they have parents.
They do have parents, yes, to help out. Well, that's awesome. Again, where do people need to find out about give everyone, because I don't want to ever hear anyone say, oh, I didn't know what was going on, or I didn't know the details. We'll hammer it out 2 or 3 different times. Where do they need to go to find out about all the details, and what are the deadlines?
Yeah, so eagleswingsdiscgolf.org. There's a title section, or a section called Junior Grant. Just go there. It has all the details, all the things we just shared. February 16th is the deadline. The application is right there. If you forget that, the PDGA has an article on the front page, which will also take you there, or any of our social media platforms will have some information about it. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll direct you there also. So our hope is to have over 100 applicants. We'd love to do that. It'd be a big jump from last year, but I think, up to 100 people are getting something from UDisc anyway, so you might as well apply. And all juniors that are going to play in one of those events are eligible, so highly encourage you to, apply or pass it on to a junior that you think might be a good fit.
Now, I know we just talked about, Nate coming on board, and you've mentioned a few of the other sponsors. Do you have the entire list in front of you? We want to certainly recognize everyone that is helping you guys out, because what is great is, Hannah, of course, you being sponsored by Innova, and I know they help you out with your play and with your touring and things of that nature, but then to see you guys are not brand specific, and I'm sure you're open to anyone that's willing to help. You've mentioned, Nate Doss along with Discraft. You've mentioned Dynamic Disc. You've mentioned Innova. I love seeing that cohesiveness and everyone come together and support the greater good, which is helping these juniors. Do you have the entire list of sponsors though that you could rattle off so everybody hears them again?
Yes. You want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah. So we have Dynamic Discs, Disc Baron, UDisc, Whale Pants, Saki Bomb, Upper Park Designs, Paragon Disc Golf, Kids Disc Golf, Mr. Disc Golf, and Innova Champion Discs.
And then also Nate Doss.
And Nate Doss.
Nate Doss now added that list. For
awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Terry Miller.
Oh yeah, it's Terry Miller.
Terry Miller.
SmashBoxx.
Glad I could help out. How about you guys we'll say on a little bit more personal level in terms of what are your plans? Those are all things that are going on for your mission and for the kids, but how about you two? Where, besides working on this stuff, which I know is like a full-time job in itself, where are we going to see you guys? What are you guys going to be doing for traveling, playing, touring, caddying, all that stuff? What are you going to be doing?
Well, so we're going to the Glass Flown Open for sure. Up until then, we're going to be in Florida, probably playing some Florida events, most likely. Then after Glass Flown Open, I think we're heading back to Pennsylvania and playing a few tournaments there. Women's Global, I'm going to play that in New Jersey, Stafford Woods. And then I think we're going to do a little bit of a West Coast swing after that, go out to Beaver State Fling, maybe Utah, Washington State, and possibly Alaska, which would be cool. We're thinking about that location as well. And then after that, we're going to do the junior tournaments, both locally in Pennsylvania and also the Junior Worlds, Junior USCGC. We're both helping out with those. And then after that, I think we're going to kind of do a Canada, Vibram, Worlds, US Women's type loop. Delaware Disc Golf Challenge. That's kind of in our neck of the woods too.
Okay. Well, we've implemented. You need to put $1 in the swear jar. We've implemented. You called it the Vibram. It's the MVP Open this year.
Really?
Yeah, we started it last week. It was a running joke that how many times this year everyone was going to call it the Vibram as opposed to the MVP Open. But
Yes.
Obviously, it's a funny.
Your dollar goes right behind Paul Macbeth's.
That's right, as he was the last week, the first one. So.
And then we're going to give it all away to the women's division. I think that's what we should do when we collect it all.
We could do that.
That makes perfect sense.
Good idea.
So it sounds like a very full schedule again. Is that an indicator that you feel like you're healed, you're healthy, you're ready to go for another big season of disc golf?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you knew, but I broke my wrist doing something stupid last summer. And then I've had sort of a long recovery from that, but I'm back to throwing again, feeling pretty good, rehabbing, and I'm not rushing anything, but I'm definitely playing now. So I'm happy about that. I'm feeling good. So.
Good. And Dustin, what exactly are your plans? I know you're one of the steadfast caddies out there, but are we going to see you in that pro tour, or what are you going to be doing?
Well, I mean, kind of like you do, the media stuff. I'm doing more TDing this year. Okay. So helping at Glassblown, helping at both the big junior events. We run a number of events locally for kids and women that I will do. So I'll probably be doing a lot more of that this year. And I am playing, I forgot to mention one tournament here in Florida. One of the best ones here is Throw Down the Mountain. So I am playing in that one. Are you guys coming down for that?
I will be there in a post-production capacity, yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, so I will be playing that one. I'm not sure how much I'll play beyond that, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the year.
Definitely picking a good one to play in as that event has grown. And I think Mike Barnett has even talked about expanding to a third weekend next year, just because he gets such a great turnout. He had to split the weekends, and then he's possibly talking about splitting them again. So plenty of travel on the schedule for you guys. So it should be fun seeing you in all these different places. Is there a section of the year that you look more forward to than any other? I mean, here I know you guys have been retreating to or heading to Florida during the kind of wintry months. So does that kind of skew your perception of what spring and summer really mean for you, or no?
I don't know. Florida's nice in the winter, though. Definitely. We're having a great winter. The weather's been pretty good. It's a little cold for Florida, but not bad. But yeah, I mean, we enjoy doing what we're doing. 6 months in each place, I think, has been fun. This is our 4th year doing that at this point. And then getting to travel and see different places in the summer. I think I equally look forward to the whole year.
Okay,
I think so.
That makes sense. I mean, when you, like I said, when you take full advantage of some of that nicer climate, then I don't think, maybe unlike a Midwesterner where you're like, oh, I can't wait for that, first 50-degree day in March or April. You guys don't have to worry about that as much. If somebody wanted to, as we wrap up, if somebody wanted to support you guys, what are the best ways to go about that? Whether it's with donations, which you kind of mentioned earlier of discs, but
cash, products.
Yeah, what are some of the best ways? How should they reach out, and what are the things you guys would welcome the most?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation, the person. We actually have grown our staff, so we have staff representing us in different parts of the country now, which is awesome. So if people are interested in whether it be a volunteer role or more of a full-time role, we'd love to talk to people about that. And also, obviously, finances are always something that a nonprofit like ours is a challenge. So there's a way to donate on our website. We actually just worked with Paragon to put up a little online store. So we have some Eagles Wings apparel that you can purchase, which is also on our website. And then even just, helping us spread the word, on things like this is a great help. So sharing some things on social media and just letting people know about some of the things that we're doing is always helpful. That might lead to somebody else that gets involved or help support it.
Okay. And February 16th, that one finally stuck in my head. February 16th, you want to make sure you guys go out and hit all the right deadlines to apply for the junior grants. Anything else before we let you guys go tonight?
I think that's all I got.
That's it.
That's it.
That was a lot. I mean,
it is, and you guys are working hard and doing working towards such a great cause, working with the kids, spreading the word, doing everything that you guys are doing all around the country. It's awesome to see, and we'll continue to do whatever we can to support you guys within those efforts.
Yeah, we
Thanks,
greatly
Dustin.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Having us on is awesome. We really appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Hannah and Dustin of Eagles Wings, we appreciate it. Thanks for all the information. Thanks for all the updates. We've linked a few different times within our YouTube live chat, and then if you're watching it on YouTube, you can see it, and then we'll put a few links out there as well.
We'll put it in the podcasting show notes. So if you're listening to this tomorrow or Saturday or whenever you're listening to it, take a look at the show notes. We'll make sure to link eagleswingsdiscgolf.org.
We'll
All
do
right,
that.
awesome.
All right, have a great night, you two. Stay warm.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Again, Hannah and Dustin Leatherman. Very exciting to see those guys are working really hard.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people talk about, I'd love a job in disc golf, or how can I get involved? I think they perfectly epitomize those ideas of getting involved and going out there and making the sport bigger and better.
They're doing what they love.
And
I mean,
they do what they love. How awesome. I see Seth out there from Disc Golf Strong. Hope all is well, Seth. And if you haven't checked it out, Seth is also putting a lot of content out there for Disc Golf Strong. Go out and find him on Facebook. We're seeing various warm-ups, exercises, all sorts of things. And Seth, we've had him on the podcast, and I'm sure we'll catch up with him sometime, I would say in the next few weeks or month or so, as we're moving into this season. I see he's out on the board as well. So he says, great interview and love hearing what they're doing. I don't know how you can't love to hear what they're doing because it's a little infectious and it's exciting.
I'm always skeptical when I first hear about like a new disc golf, either a charity or an organization. I always have reservations about it. And I'm always thinking like, okay, what's the catch? What's this?
Or their goals are sometimes a little too lofty.
Lofty, exactly. And I just kind of think, when I originally heard last year about that, I was like, okay, well, we'll see what happens, this and that. They've blown it out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, they have
putting Oprah to shame.
They're putting Oprah to
Ellen,
shame. So,
and it's not just about giving away stuff, but it's the support that they're providing, the services they're providing, the chance for people to come together and fellowship.
They do it
all.
right. They definitely do it right, and I'm proud as Smashbox to be able to promote them in any which way we can, as long as we can. So.
Well, it's easy. They're better people than us.
Well, yeah. So that's a very low bar to set. Let's be honest.
All right. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope that you guys are enjoying the action tonight. It was great catching up with Dana, finding out, we saw a couple B tiers. We're ramping up. We're getting into the season. We're also seeing other conversations in chatter. Is there anything out on social media that's been hit real heavy in the last few days?
Not that I recall. I went, usually I'll go to the social media, I'll go to a couple of the forums and check out PDGA. The PDGA has an update kind of on their, what they call Power to the Players, which is the PDGA disciplinary process. So a couple things that they're updating. No longer, it looks like, are they sending certified mail to people? They're actually sending certified emails. So that's kind of a little update, but there's a whole article out there that was released just about a week ago. And then the other thing that's on there is the Eagles Wings, which we just spoke about. So kind of slow PDGA news this week. Not a lot happening on the forums, and I haven't seen much on social media. So,
yeah, I have, again, Brian Schweberger, who we mentioned earlier with another win this past weekend. Something completely unrelated that we can briefly touch on maybe in the after show. Again, totally unrelated to disc golf. He had a interesting conversation piece pop up yesterday that gained some traction very quickly. Disc Golf Nerd had asked if we ever discussed Jamie Thomas's post, and I'm trying to think about
his podcast post.
He was. I know he was rooting for the Saints, and I'm not much of
that had to hurt.
A football fanatic, but I know that didn't work out well for him.
Did you end up watching that?
I did end up I saw very little football on Sunday as I was at the Blackhawks game. And then finally, by the time I got home, I got to see really the last play of the Viking game. And just the fact that there was so much scoring back and forth, even if you're not a football fan, there was a lot of scoring and things taking place in those last few minutes. So it didn't work out so well for Jamie, who's got roots in Louisiana.
I watched that live, and as a Packers fan, I can't exactly say I was rooting for the Vikings, but it was an awesome game to watch. And I understand, as a Packers fan, I understand that last-minute touchdown more than probably any other team in the past 5 years, because our quarterback has been able to put those crazy Hail Marys into play. This wasn't exactly that, but it felt like that. It was that amazing play. So I feel for the Vikings. I understand how you feel, how exuberant you are, and I also feel for the Saints fans and how that not coming out for you. But we'll see.
One of the hot topics, and maybe more specifically, that was also addressed, the revision, we'll say, of the PDGA smoking policy,
Yes.
and what that means at major events and large-scale events. Originally, this new policy that was announced was very encompassing, or a very large scale, talking about where cigarette smoking could be allowed or not, or could be possibly banned at a given event, and which included some of the extracurricular events that were like check-in or a players party.
And the PDGA actually, I would say, relatively quickly stepped that back very, very vocally. I don't exactly know what happened. I think someone was saying Jamie Thomas, how he made a post out on the PDGA saying, "Hey guys," and I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't have it in front of me, but you need to get your crap together because this isn't the way to do it. Now, he said it much nicer than that, as Jamie does. And I'll say this, from our side, as a Smashbox side, we were reached out to by one or two members of the PDGA, and we are working with them to possibly integrate them a little bit more into the podcast.
Sure.
Possibly have a platform for them every couple weeks or couple months that says, hey guys, here's the PDGA. This is what we're doing right now. Let's get some feedback. So I'm really excited for that. I think the PDGA has seen over the past month or two that they've made one or two missteps, and things that have not gone the way that they had planned, and they had to step back some of the things that were public. And as an organization, personally, I don't like to see that because it creates confusion. I would rather see, if you're there, stick to something, but I want you to stick to what I think is right, or what the majority of the people think is right. So we're going to work with the PDGA on our side and hopefully have a little bit more of a
open line.
An open line,
and it's not that anything's ever been secretive or hidden, but they had reached out and had said, in a sense, that we recognize that you guys, some people for whatever reason, listen to you guys, and having us be a little bit more of a conduit or a platform.
Correct. They might
be able to help out.
I think they just want a little bit more of a voice, and I think they see that in us, that they can have that and maybe have a little bit more interaction, get some things out there. So we look forward to working with the PDGA about anything in the future. So hopefully we'll get that going in the next couple months and have a really good back and forth with them. It's going to be good.
Or they can announce things and then Murder Mike and Carl can just try and shred them on their Thursday night show. That's another alternative.
Hey, whichever way you want to go about doing it, that is really your call.
But in an all serious note, yeah, we want to do whatever we can. And the PDGA, of course, Johnny and I, longtime members, and very supportive of the PDGA. We want to do anything to just help, like I said, be a platform to further carry any messages that might be out there. Because unfortunately, sometimes, obviously, something gets put out there, whether it was early or maybe it's final, but it wasn't released in the way it needed to be. And next thing you know, there can be a massive
outcry, confusion, kickback, all of the above.
Yeah, those types of things can all unfold. So we'll see how it happens moving forward. Looking forward to it. On that side, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was out of the ordinary.
No, we really talked about the Discmania Year of the Shield announcement. We talked with Avery and Dana already about that. So,
real quickly, I'll throw out a plug out there. The La Nina Open 2018 is a women's only event. Registration's open. That's out in Selah, Washington. Check it out. I know it's one of the larger women's only events that takes place. They're talking about over $3,000 in cash and prizes to be won, and there's going to be over $1,000 added to just the women's pro payout in the which is incredible. And they have all sorts of things. That's all Guapo baskets. He's been very supportive of efforts that I've put out before with Disc Golf Guy blogs, as well as us over at Smashbox. So go check that out. A couple weeks, I believe, before Beaver State. So if you're kind of making that swing, and we'll talk about it as it gets closer. We'll talk about the Women's Symposium, but with the Women's Global event taking place, I think May 12th, and then that coinciding with not just the daisy chains, but all the women's global events. And then as players make their way up that West Coast, there's just a really natural swing for both women's only events as well as lots of other large-scale events. And we're looking forward to give more details as those unfold. Moving in to 2018.
I think we're good for tonight.
I think in terms of actual business, real business, legitimate business that's out there, I think that covers a lot of stuff. We had a jam-packed show with lots of good info from Dana to Avery to Eagles Wings with Dustin.
You say that like we don't always.
No, sometimes we chug along, and I'm not sure that all the time we provide the best content, but I think we had a lot of good stuff for people tonight.
I agree.
There was something else that's totally slipping my mind as to what it was.
That's why we have an after show.
I guess that's maybe why we'll have to have an after show. I don't recall what it was. But, of course, check out pdga.com. I know we've mentioned a number of really great links tonight, too. udisc.com/marksman. That's a good place to check out for what's going on with the league that we talked a little bit about. And, obviously, pdga.com, eagleswingsdiscgolf.org, another great resource for you to check out as well. And Miles Parkhill over at Paragon, I know, is out there and is a huge supporter of everything that's going on with Smashbox and a number of other entities and clubs around the country. So certainly appreciate his support. Looking forward to Arizona. We'll talk about that in a few moments when we head into the after show. We're going to have a giveaway. Last week you said I shouldn't bring something because you got something lined up for a giveaway.
We do have something. Two notes. One for me. For all you who are interested in fantasy disc golf, that is moving along. I saw the preview of the website. We've got the new login features all set up, so you can now log in via your social media accounts, as we promised. So if you have a Twitter, Facebook, or Google account, you can log into those. You don't have to set up a new username and password. So I'm excited. And tomorrow I have a follow-up where we're looking at getting a couple more pieces. And then Friday, hopefully not the final pieces, but a real good finish up, and then we can start working on new features. And what else was there? There was one more thing. Oh, yeah, the giveaway. Again, working with Disc Member. Hopefully, we're going to be giving away a Disc Member package, the one that they had for January here. So I'm excited to be able to give that away, and we can do that. The Disc Member now teamed up with UDisc. That was kind of some news that UDisc is just branching out everywhere. So congratulations to UDisc and Disc Member. It's a really good team. You can take a look and dig into more details on that.
All right, so we may potentially, on next week or the week after, we may be upwards of 3 giveaways on a given night. We'll have a Marksman weekly giveaway, I believe. We're going to have our standard SmashBoxxTV Patreon supporter giveaway, and then once a month we'll also be offering up the box giveaway, so the Disc Member box giveaway. So on any given week, I'm telling you, we're not quite Oprah or Ellen yet. We're getting there. We'll have some stuff to give away for free for you. And I've got updates about a little podcast venture that I further tried to attempt today, but you'll get those updates a little later in the after show.
That sounds like it could be interesting.
It's going to be great someday. All right. So with that being said, I think we can wrap it up officially. We're going to head into the after show. As always, all bets are off in the after show. Sometimes it's disc golf related. Most of the time it's not. Lots of odds and ends and where anything's on the table. We also encourage you to join us, as always, on the YouTube chat where you can directly interact as we try and keep up with the live chat board that's on your YouTube browser and answer questions a little bit more direct with everyone. And sounds like tonight we'll have at least 2 giveaways over there, the Marksman League giveaway as well as the Patreon supporter giveaway. So for Dana Vicich, earlier in the evening, along with our world champion Avery Jenkins from Innova and Discmania and the Disc Golf World Tour, and Hannah and Dustin Leatherman from Eagles Wings Disc Golf. We appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you in the after show. This has been podcast 178. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 178 After Show.
Wow, did we just did we just date ourselves?
If I'd love to know, someone name it. Name the song and or band. I just about spit it out, but go ahead. I'll wait for somebody else to name it on the board. As we're going late. Yeah, there you go. Jeff Hawkins. Well, not technically. They weren't NKOTB then. I think they officially go by it now, as they've abbreviated. At the time, they were the New Kids on the Block. Anyway, there you go, Christy. All right. That is not the best way to open any show, is by singing New Kids on the Block.
Someone brings up a good point. There's no super chat icon.
Oh, that could be my fault. That very well could be my fault.
We'll look into it.
There was a challenge this week that you don't even know about. There was a challenge this week regarding some of YouTube's settings, and I tried to adjust some settings, and then I changed some stuff, and then YouTube said, we'll take a look at that, and then they got back to me and said, oh, no, you can't do that. And then... yeah, so there very well could be a setting or two in there that was not. In fact, it was just before the show. I was messing with some settings.
Oh, that's nice.
So there's a good possibility the super chat.
So this show is free,
as always. If you're dying to give us money, I will find a way to make it happen for you guys.
We'll get super chat re-enabled next week.
Hopefully,
it's not a big deal.
That's surprising. Anyway, so glad you guys could join us. Here we are in the after show, where, as I've said before, just about anything goes, disc golf related or not. We'll also be giving some things away. We will be giving away a Marksman related item. I believe it's going to be a putter. I think we should give away high-speed drivers from Dynamic Discs.
Makes a lot of sense.
Is there a spot that people have to go to enter their information? Do they give us the information and we pass it on to the boys at DD, boys and gals?
We'll get that figured out.
Well, I don't know. Well, okay, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Well, and I was thinking, should the Marksman one be something we give away just to the live viewers, and then the Patreon is for Patreon? We don't do a lot of live viewer giveaways.
So just
incentivize people to watch, which sure. So yeah, so maybe we'll figure it out
At least tonight it will be. How about that?
Tonight we're going to do, you don't have to be a Patreon member to get the Marksman giveaway.
You just have to be here live?
You just have to be here live.
Wow.
And Terry will figure out a way to give that to you.
I
start putting the pressure on.
Thinking about that. Seth says, I like it for the live viewers. I think that keeps people hanging around for a while.
I agree.
Because if you haven't given us 3 hours of your time, then you don't deserve anything yet. Or you get smart and you just tune in for the after show every week.
But we might not give it away every week in the after show. On a week where we're maybe a little slower, maybe we'll give it away during the regular show.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and find a few things listed that I find coming in for questions off the live chat on YouTube. Jeff Hawkins just asked thoughts on people lagging on renewing their PDGA membership for 2018. I'll say this.
I'm guilty. I have not renewed yet.
It's become so instantaneous. It used to be a bigger hassle to go out. It just, the technology wasn't quite there yet. So to go renew someone, and whether they showed up right away, and then they used to do PDGA renewals on a weekly batch process, and then it would take a while, and then eventually they got that to be instantaneous, and you could prove to somebody that you were current. All of that stuff doesn't bother me as much. I will say this. If you're going to play in an event, let's just say you're playing in an event this weekend. Go do it in the next day or two. Don't wait all the way till the minutes before the event, because as a tournament director,
I want to do it at the event.
No, don't do it there either. You can, but it's a real pain.
No, I'm just kidding.
Just go online, earn your points on your credit card while you're at it, and do it there. And I'll say, when I'm hosting an event, the night before a tournament, I'm looking through every single player that's registered. And then if you're not current, I have to then look, oh, did they pay the non-current fee to me already? Oh, they did or they didn't. Let's say they didn't. Then I have to put them on a special list and be like, oh, hey, when they check in, I now have to see, are you going to renew? Or if not, you owe me $10. And then just going through that whole rigmarole, it just, if you can, just get renewed, be done with it, and you'll be good to go. You save everybody a little bit of a headache. So if that's what you mean, I think it was Jeff that said that, then go ahead and do it. You can renew for multiple years. I think that's a great idea. Dave has said that. That's also great, just in case they raise the price.
I think I'm going to do that this year. I think I'll probably do like a 3-year renewal if I can.
You're rich. Bitcoin keeps you rich.
Oh, God. Yeah, we were talking about that just before the show. In the last 2 to 3 weeks, Bitcoin has dropped from a peak of 19,000 down to, I believe it's at just 11,000 right now. It dipped into the 10,000s. It is back into the 10,000s as we speak right now.
What do they call it? Rip-off currency? Riptocurrency? Rip-off?
Yeah, more or less. And as I said, I'm happy that I pulled the initial investment I made out. I get to watch the money I have now go up and down. If in 6 months people are laughing that they can't believe Bitcoin was ever at that amount, or in 6 months, if it, whatever reason, picks back up and spikes up, which I don't really think it will, then yay for me, but I'm not out anything right now, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I love break-even investments. Just kidding. A question just came in. Kenny U says, have you ever had Mr. Disc Golf on the podcast? And if we didn't once, now I'm drawing a blank. I know earlier once today I said that Avery hadn't been on. I didn't recall.
I don't think we've ever had Mike Solt on.
I don't think we have, but we
not
need
as a permanent guest. Maybe for some reason he jumped on for a few minutes to talk about a tournament, but I don't even believe that's the case.
Yeah,
you're right. We should have him on.
Yes, he'd be a great ambassador, tournament director, and all-around influencer out on, he happens to be on the East Coast. We'd love to have Mr. Disc Golf. I'll have to reach out to him. I know for a little while he was doing a podcast. He was working on something, and they were doing
Jamie,
some kind of
Mr.
a podcast.
Disc Golf, the Disc Golf Show, Disc Golf Answer Man,
Disc Golf Guy,
the Disc Golf Zen. Everybody's got a podcast now. I think my kid upstairs started one. I don't know.
But is it disc golf related?
It might be. I don't know. I don't pay attention to him.
Someone needs to put out a Bitcoin stamp on a disc. Knows hi. Barney says, any big guests on Smashbox for 2018? Michael Johansson. No, I'd like to keep. Maybe we should put a ratings limit on all our guests. Only have. No, I'm just kidding.
You and I wouldn't be able to host the show.
Yes, we'll continue to have all sorts of people. Fair or not, I think it's fair. Typically, our format is that we have a previous weekend's winner on the show as we get into the busier season. That's not necessarily a steadfast rule. I mean, if Paul or a Ricky win 6 straight weeks in a row, we clearly don't have them on 6 straight weeks in a row. On the women's side, same thing. We saw Katrina Allen dominate for a whole year. We saw Paige Pierce all but dominate this last year. So it's not always the format, but that's the most logical one during the busy season. And then we love to sprinkle it around. We have ambassadors, promoters, freshly transferred sponsorship players. We have all sorts of things, all sorts of people, and we'll continue to keep moving in that direction.
Jeff Hawkins is saying Ricky will be in Milwaukee this weekend.
He will be.
Really? What's he? Are you going to be?
I will not be here. Ricky is here. There's an indoor event taking place, I believe, this weekend. And Ricky,
not disc golf experience,
indoor disc golf or something. And Ricky is going to be doing something. I know he's somewhat teamed up with Delta Kart of some sorts, and something with his sponsorship in Delta Kart.
How did I not know this?
Because that's why you have me.
How can you didn't tell me then?
Because I didn't know it was newsworthy to you. I'm not going to be here. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, I know that's when you reach out to me. I'm looking at my calendar and I don't see anything going on this weekend. I could actually attend.
Assuming it's not sold out.
I even if it was sold out, I might go there and hang out and chat and
have him sign all your Disc Golf Pro Tour cards.
There you go. Just all of them. Not even his.
Even the ones that he doesn't.
Thanks, Yuli.
Barney says, y'all been killing it so far in 2018. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Barney. We appreciate that. Jennifer and Madison on staging a comeback.
Jennifer Allen?
I know. I'll see her this weekend. Yep. She's going from Oklahoma over to...
Madison is working on it as well.
Playing in at the Vista event, Shelly Sharp Memorial this weekend. So I'm looking forward to see. I reached out to her actually the other day and said, I see you on the list. Are you in fact going to be there still? And she said, yeah. There's only one other woman. And then in the last day, I think Azriel Rogers signed up. So there'll be a field of 3 women. I think they're adding like $400 just to the women's purse on this weekend over in the Shelly Sharp. Do I got any Arizona peeps that I'm going to see out there? Phoenix Ruger Redberg, I believe, already signed off, but looking forward to being in the Scottsdale area this weekend and maybe in your car on the way home from the airport on Thursday night too, maybe. I don't know, or a spare bedroom you have. Ryan says Saturday night proceeds going to Big Blue. Okay.
I'm looking at the Milwaukee indoor disc golf experience with Ricky on the 19th. It says it's sold out, but it does say it's available to the public, which would be me. Maybe I can grease a palm or two. I don't need to play in the event, but I would like to be there for whatever reason. So I'm going to have to... I'm going to have to look into it.
There's no restraining orders?
No, they expired 2017. So I'm set.
So you are all set.
I can now be within 200 feet of Ricky again. It's awesome.
There you go. I'm trying to read down the list. Something about a cart. I see Disc Golf Nerd says, I'm firmly on Team Disc Golf Cart now. So nice rolling disc around. That makes perfect sense. I can hear you.
Asking if we're going to be in Vegas, Disc Golf Strong. No, we have no plans right now to be in Vegas. No one's reached out to us. Last year we had some issues with the signal on the courses that they had, and I recall being very frustrated. So for live, it doesn't make sense for us, unfortunately, because they're great at courses. It's just the signal was kind of yuck. So we will not be doing live at the Vegas event.
William Volmer says, speaking of calendars, why doesn't the PDGA produce a wall calendar with the A-tier events? They did for many years have a national tour and then hit on the majors and national tour, kind of a promotional piece. I'm not sure if that's still produced. I don't know if I'll say a flippable month-by-month calendar is in fact overkill or not. I know some people have do produce those,
but disc golf women
exactly
do that.
That's what Val. I was thinking of Val as I was saying that.
Yeah, if you're looking for something like that, the PDG doesn't have one, but they do.
Yeah, and they're sold out.
Yeah. Oh, are they?
Yes, she just sold the last one recently.
I didn't see that. I saw that. I thought the last post I saw that they had some left, but
Clearly, I didn't see the most recent one.
Mike, who I think said is out in the Phoenix area, said, Terry, will you lay up on hole 8 at Shelly Sharp or go for it?
Hole 8. I'm trying to think.
Hole 8 is over the water. Assuming there's not.
Oh, is that the little turnover?
Well, yeah, kind of straight down and over the water.
Yeah,
No.
Oh.
9's the huge, almost a par 4, the par 3.5. Hole 8,
hole
yeah,
8.
it's just the one over.
It's the little, well, as I call it, it's a
I mean,
rinky-dink little hole. If you lay up, I'm going to make fun of you.
It's 320 feet.
Downhill
yes.
with a slight turnover. I've played that hole 6 times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever taken a bogey on it. And you just, I understand. You take a beat rock and throw it and just let it flip a little bit.
I know how to play it. I know.
Unless it's really windy. If it's
that's
really
what I was
windy,
just saying. Unless there's a lot of wind that would somehow alter my decision, I would certainly plan on throwing straight over it.
And I hope you hit the palm tree right off the tee. Just whack.
Yes.
Because we saw that. Oh God, where did we see that? I want to say one of on live we saw someone hit that tree or something.
I don't remember.
But in general, no. If I find out you laid up on that, I'm going to
assuming
mock you.
There is not a very stiff wind.
Even if there's a stiff wind, I want you to go. For
I will not probably. I will be going for it.
I want you to go for it.
No matter what. I seriously want to dig out.
In fact, I want you to throw forehand.
No, that I won't be doing. I want to dig out a number of discs to take along for this weekend, just to have them and try throwing different things all over the place. So yes, making potentially my Masters debut is the plan this weekend, as being mentioned out on the board. Telemark says, Nerd convinced Terry to throw a Vibram Inertia. I would need to have one in my hand first. An MVP Inertia is a great flyer, as said.
Yeah.
Okay. They're really 2 separate Inertia labeled discs. I know MVP has one. I don't think Vibram. That doesn't fit into Vibram's naming structure. So maybe you just misspoke.
Feel like it.
Either way. Robert McCall, folks. Mr. Hare is on the board as...
Someone asks if you're going to Shelly Sharp for real? Yeah. For real going
for
there.
realsies. Thursday night.
I'm jealous that I can't go.
I fly out at 5:55, get in at 8:50, I want to say, local time. I did not rent a car, and I found out today I may not have the lodging that I thought I had. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, so if there's any help somebody wants to provide. My one challenge, I hate to burden anybody with the idea of possibly lodging there, because I think I need to be there in the morning, and I'm going to be there all day until the final putt drops. It just makes for a very long day if I also have to be in there in the morning and I don't have a car, but we'll see. Wes, do I need a ride? I might. Maybe reach out to me on Facebook if you would. Luke says, new series, Terry tries discs he's never heard of. That could be a mildly hilarious series. If I did him in competition.
Oh, yeah.
What's this do?
It's got to be. Like, we follow you around and just... I hand
just
you,
randomly grab one out of a bag.
I hand you a disc and just like, I don't know what this does.
Explain
Terry.
it.
No, you have to not know what it does. I can't tell you like, hey Terry, this is an overstable driver. You have to know by looking at it and feeling it, and it's gonna have a custom stamp, so it doesn't have numbers on it. Yeah. So you just have to be like, oh God, I really hope this is flippy, but it doesn't feel stable, and then have it like a Monarch get up and just flip over hard on you. This is what we
I do not
do.
like that idea.
Yeah, I like this.
Jeff, so Terry is talking about how he will. I do not plan to win at all this weekend. I hope to go and not embarrass myself is what I hope to do. With more disc golf companies adding RVs to the tour, I think you guys need a SmashBox RV.
If someone wants to donate Paul Macbeth SmashBox RV, we would happily take it and use it for like 6 events.
Yeah. Seth says he will film it. What's in your bag, Terry? It's a little outdated in some regards.
First run Cyclone, an Arrow, the original Arrow, of course.
I wish. A couple Midnight Flyers. Now, real quick, my bag consists of a couple different Wraiths, pro Wraiths. I have one really, really beat old Star Wraith, but a couple pro Wraiths, Star Wraith. I do have a Star Strike in there. I've got a Legacy Ghost or 2 maybe. I also have KC AVRs. I have original Ontario rocks. I may or may not have like a Leopard TL3 kind of disc. I probably have one or two in those. And gosh, that's about it. I do not have a lot of variety in there, and I don't feel like I need a lot of variety. I may need to up one or two stable mids is what I think I may need to up.
Stable
I used to throw
mid.
a lot of KC Pro rocks, which I love, and I very well, I don't know if a Truth or a Suspect or a Verdict or a Buzz, all of which I think could help fill those gaps.
I mean, we have some Smashbox Truths.
There you go.
That I think you could put in there. They're relatively stable. I mean, I don't think you could, I don't think you would. You could really crank on one. You could get it to flip up and turn over, but I don't think
That's what I wouldn't want to throw one for that.
And I wouldn't see you throwing that type of knowing your game. I wouldn't see you throwing that. So I think that could work out as a nice stable mid-range for you.
Yeah, so I may honestly take 8 to 10 discs I've never thrown or don't know much about. I may bring them out there with me and throw them around 5 minutes before the round starts. Actually, I was going to say I'm going to get there at about 9 o'clock on Thursday night. I think right now I'm unofficially scheduled to tee off around 11-ish on Friday.
Plenty of warm-up time.
So maybe I'll go out and learn some new discs Friday. Maybe I won't. Or I'll just stick with what I've got. We'll see. Does Terry finish in the top 3 this weekend? Find out next week on Smashbox.
I think you do. Assuming you play to the completion of every round, I think you do.
We will see. How much do you warm up these days? I can't even read that without laughing.
Yeah.
I will go out and I will throw. Hopefully, maybe somebody will be around to play catch with. I love playing catch to kind of get warmed up quickly before events. Play catch for a few minutes. I'd like to throw, if I have time for it, I'd love to throw a couple dozen putts, and then it's go time. That's about it. I'll do some stretching. I enjoy stretching. Whether I'm playing a lot or not, I enjoy trying to get stretched out. But that's the game plan.
People don't forget that Terry was 990 plus rated. Terry brings it up all the time.
995. Way back in the day. I will say this, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself. I will say this.
You are.
When I went out and played a very rare casual, well, semi-casual, semi-competitive round a few weeks ago with some buddies here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, when it was like 8 degrees out, I kind of joked with my good buddy Mike Schwieger, who I've played doubles with for like 18 consecutive years now. I kind of joked and said, I'm kind of glad of all things that haven't left me. It's my putt. My putt more often than not has been relatively redeeming. I don't drive with the accuracy or the distance that I used to, but my putt on any given day it can look just as good as it did 15 years ago on any given day. I'm surprised by that.
I'm completely
blessed
with you
as well.
I'm completely with you because I think my putt is so simple that I don't really have a problem with it. If it's one thing even to this day that I'm still pretty accurate with, it's my putting. I can step up and
you can miss from anywhere.
I can miss from anywhere
consistently.
No, I was just thinking when we were at Worlds and we were walking off the doubles course and Joe Shargoloff was there just putting. I grabbed a putter and I did just a mild jump up from like 40 feet and drained it
all day.
And I just thought, this putting, it's not easy, but it's not extremely difficult to hit the basket. Not always go in. I can't say that I'm always super accurate, but the way I putt is so simple that I'm always relatively in the area, I'll say. Not necessarily always in, but I don't throw a lot of air balls. But you're right, trying to hit a gap, that can get ugly. Like you put a gap about 100 feet in front of me that I need to hit that's maybe 20 or less, that's not always there anymore. Like, whoops, yank that one right, or let go of that one.
I'm not gonna lie, just talking about this has gotten me a little bit excited.
Me too.
To go out and play Friday.
Are you excited for the Masters field?
I am.
Are you gonna feel weird?
Yeah, I will.
You're going through the same thing a lot of aging men go through.
Good. I'm going to show up in a Mustang convertible, of course, when I get to the some sort of midlife yellow crisis car. I think you should. No, I'm excited about it, and a good friend of ours, Steve Held, who started playing Masters last year, he said to me via message today, he's like, "Wow, you're going to try and play." and film, you get to double dip, so to speak. But he's like, I can hear it in your voice. You sound even mildly competitive, like you've missed it. And I will agree. I have largely missed playing disc golf in a competitive fashion. Of course, I could go out any weekend and play competitively in the sense that I competitively get whooped. It just feels it's a different mentality knowing there's people that are going to be of similar age and of similar skill sets that you're no longer competing with Eagle, Simon, Wysocki, Macbeth. I mean, those people of the, of that skill level and those caliber. So
I'm with you. I completely agree. And I'm chatting with some buddies of ours online quite a bit lately, usually political stuff, but I really want to play. I don't know why, but I really want to play Ice Bowl this year. The big freeze, as we call it here. I want to find a Masters partner and play. Whether or not we get whooped or not, I don't care. I want to play Pro Masters in that field.
To dust off some people, bring them out of retirement.
I honestly, there's a guy in town named Scott Slauson who we know, and he is a phenomenal golfer when he plays, but he just rarely plays anymore. I don't think he'd be up for it. I kind of posted a little message out there, and he never got back to me. But I would love to play Masters this in the big freeze.
All right, who's going to be covering me? Nobody. Nobody should be covering me. Someone did ask, what's up with the Night Eye shirt? I saw Dave Wastebloom, one of the just greatest gentlemen I've ever met in my disc golf career, who's also now, this year, he moves into being eligible for Grandmasters. I've spent time with him all around the country whenever we cross paths at big events. He used to work for Whammo back in the day. In fact, he may or may not have been exclusively responsible for bringing the disc golf line back to Whammo, and I know everyone could argue that those weren't the premier discs, but just the fact that he worked at Whammo and was able to get that size of a company to get, even think about the disc golf market, and then their mini baskets that they came out with is pretty awesome. So I met with Dave. He was in town for a visit with Night Eyes, on a call with Night Eyes, and there was a shirt that fit me. So Dave passed it on to me. I love representing Night Eyes just by wearing their shirts. They support the Pro Tour, they support disc golf, and all around, I just think they're a really good company. So if you need any Night Eyes products, reach out to me or Dave. We can make it happen. So hence the shirt. And I kind of do love wearing it in that it's not specific to a disc golf brand. Not that I ever feel bad. I'll wear an Innova shirt or a Discraft hat or a DD shirt or a Latitude shorts or whatever. I love representing all the companies. But when you wear one that's not a regular disc manufacturer, there's no pressures of any kind whatsoever. So and most importantly, what really matters about this long-winded Night Eyes comment is these are cool shirts, Kuhle. These are some of the nicest. This is what turned me on to them. These are some of the nicest feeling, breathable type shirts on the planet. These shirts are much higher quality than I would ever purchase because I'm cheap. And so when they had the Night Eyes branding, and it was an awesome shirt, I couldn't turn it down.
Ben P says, if there's one tournament to go watch this year other than GBO, what would it be? I'm trying to plan a spring/summer trip.
So spring and summer, I was going to otherwise say Smuggler's Notch. That's not clearly spring or summer, though.
Smuggler's Notch or MVP Open. I think
those both being fall, though.
But those are both in the fall.
Closer to fall.
If you're talking summer, I mean, end of summer, you could say Worlds.
Beaver State Fling.
I've never
June.
been there, so Beaver State Fling would be a good one.
Beaver State Fling, or and I haven't seen the course yet for this year, San Francisco Open. That's going to be a Memorial Day weekend, which may or may not have some challenges. Or the weekend before that, week or two before that, being the Masters Cup. 2 different courses to see, lots of variety, all the best players, national tour event, California, you're in Santa Cruz. So Masters Cup should definitely be on your list as one to see. And if it's a couple weeks later and you need to get to Beaver State out in Oregon, it's beautiful. The courses are amazing. The golf is amazing. The atmosphere, the park, everything about that event is also amazing. So there's 2 that come to mind right off the top of my head. Somebody asked earlier, Avery with Keen. Keen supports a number of disc golfers, Nate, Val, Avery. I think probably still Dave Felberg, or at least I know they did for quite some time. They support us at SmashBoxx. And obviously, you heard earlier that they support the Eagles Wings program and do a lot of things within disc golf. So Avery is one of the sponsored players from Keene, along with Paige Pierce. Can't forget her. She comes to mind as well.
Ulysses says, will we ever see a Terry versus JVD filmed round? I'm going to go with no, because no one's going to want to sit and watch that garbage.
Or edit it.
And film it. Yeah, that would not happen. No one, I think the cameraman would probably rip their eyes out at this point.
Milo is definitely great. Luke may be playing, right? I heard Eagle may be leaving Dude. That I can't speak to. Can't say I know about that. Is a question that Dave, or a comment that Dave brought in.
Yeah.
Possible. Does Terry shoot under bar?
Under bar?
Under par or under bar?
I've seen you take shots under a bar, but
yeah. Great pants. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Maybe a dude conversation from earlier?
It could be, or they could just be talking about me.
Me or yours.
Let's do a Patreon giveaway.
All right, I'm good with that. Patreon giveaway.
Why don't you reach over to your right, grab that little package. Yeah, I said it. And
what you want out of that?
Yeah, and in the bag too, I think there's some stuff in there. So what we have is, they said, hey, you could do an unboxing on the show. It was after I opened it. So basically what this is this is the Disc Store January giveaway. As you know, Disc Member, the Disc Store, is a supporter of SmashBoxx Podcast. And if you'd like to be eligible for these giveaways, you can do so at patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. As you see, I put it up on the top now. See, look at that. I can do it.
Wow. That
it removes
except for you didn't capitalize the B, but I would have.
Yeah, I would have done that too. I just missed it. So, well, anyway, SmashBoxx. You threw me all off now, Terry. You threw me off.
I know.
So we're going to give away a disc, a shirt, and whatever else is in here. I believe there's a couple stickers.
And quick disclaimer, I promised last week I'd mail everything out, and I haven't. So
that's a great promise. Terry, a man of his word.
Yes. So tomorrow I have a stack of, well, I'll admit, I had to go through a couple of emails, and I made this whole list of things that I was a little confused about, like who was getting what for sure. Mm-hmm. And I made a list, and then I sat down to try and piece it all together, and it didn't happen. So the plan is tomorrow.
Jirki Pasila asks if Yuli's picks are going to be a thing this season. We'd like them to be.
Sure.
Once I get, I'll know more in about a week or two, once I get the site back up and running and kind of can get things put in for this upcoming year. I'd love Yuli to come on and do a Yuli's picks again. I think that would be phenomenal.
Yes, so. We'd love to have, and I'm hoping to see Paul Ulibarri in person this week in a little bit.
So, all right, so we're going to give this away. If the shirt doesn't fit you, too bad. Find someone that it does fit, but you will get this awesome after. No, this is the Tremor, not the Aftershock. I'm sorry, this is the Tremor disc. So this feels like a mid-range. I think we're going to be pretty good there. Let us take a look. We'll throw this up on the screen. You're going to see 158 people. I'm going to generate the result here. We got number 52. 52 is Joseph Culp. Joseph Culp.
I like it. Sounds like a new name.
It sounds like a name we haven't had in a while. Maybe we had one last year. I don't know, but congratulations, Joseph Culp. Thank you for your patronage. You will be getting this in the mail whenever Terry gets around to...
Well, here, this one's a little easier. I'll admit, this one's a little easier. Everything's right here. It's going to get slid right back into this bag that it was originally shipped in, and it's just a matter of me, loading up PayPal, plugging in my separate label printer, doing all of that. But this one will be probably the first one that gets labeled and shipped out.
Wes Warren asks, what's patronage? That is Patreon, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. You can see the link up at the top right now. And if you give us, if you find value, the way I like to put it is, if you find value in what we do on the podcast.
That's a really funny way to put it.
No, if they do, they can support us
with as little as $1 a month. If you don't find any value in what we do, which sometimes I don't think Terry does, you don't have to give us anything, but you won't be eligible for these wonderful prizes. Once a month, we're going to give away a disc member package, and that's what we're doing this month. Once we get the new one, we'll give away that one, whatever they're doing for February. You can be a patron, and there are different levels. We plan on giving away a Patreon disc again this year. Last year, we've still got, I think, 7 that we need to send out. I sent Terry a message the other day with a link to it, so we'll get that worked out for this year. There are the 7 people that made the cut, and you can be a Patreon or a patron of SmashBoxxTV, and we appreciate it. And for $2, you get your name in the credits. For $3, you're eligible for the disc. $5, there's all sorts of different levels. So, and I keep looking at seeing if there's a way we can do bigger and better patronage ones, and I haven't dug into that too much lately. So Wes, that's what it is. I don't always love to go off on the thing. Is there an app for it too? There is, Wes. You can go to, there's a Patreon app. One of the benefits of being a Patreon supporter is if you happen to miss the live podcast, you get immediate access to the audio one. I shut this down. I upload the audio version. You get it immediately. Everybody else has to wait until Thursday to get the audio-only version. So if you want to listen to it in your favorite podcasting app, you get that immediately just by being a Patreon supporter. You have a private RSS feed just for our podcast.
I was about to get all crazy here for a minute and actually go out and see if there was any interaction taking place on our Facebook. Correction, we're on the Facebooks?
We are out on the Facebooks.
Things are out there. I was going to go see if there was any chatter taking place. As always, during the after show especially, we pay most attention to the YouTube chat board that's taking place. We happen to, more often than not, also push this out to Facebook. So I was going to go out there and see if there's anything massive or major that we had missed out there. I'll see if I can get caught up with that here in a moment. I've had a couple people reach out, including Hannah and Dustin. They said they were calling tonight, but they wanted to thank us again for joining. And I said, we are more than glad to do so. You keep doing what you're doing, and I think
they make everybody look better.
Exactly. We'll keep doing what we're doing to help promote it, because they're out there doing all this hard work, and we certainly appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna check out. Man, there's people that are on back and forth. There's people that chat on. I see Big Putt Bill Sherman chats on Facebook, and then he chats on YouTube. How do you do it, Bill?
Jeff Hawkins asks, what do you do with the money from Patreon? I'm assuming you're meaning for Patreon.
Boom.
Lots of things.
Buy new pants.
Buy new pants. Like the new mic that came out of Patreon money.
Mm-hmm.
We had new mixer, computer upgrades, Patreon giveaways, the discs. A little bit, honestly, our normal contributors, Dana, Yuli, Zoe when she's able to make it, Disc Golf Nerd, they all
get a kickback.
They all get a kickback from you guys doing that. The more you give, the more we can give back to them. Terry and I take a small portion as well, obviously. But yeah, other than that, we look at ways to upgrade the system. That goes $1 goes a long way. Like I said, $12.
$20 goes even a longer way, right?
Yes.
Was that a setup by you?
$50 goes even further. No. So we do things like that, and we hope at the end of the year, I sent out to Disc Golf Nerd and Yuli and all those guys, their pay, so to speak. They're not employees, but like I said, we do give them a little for helping us out, because without their input and contributions, this show isn't nearly as good.
Yeah, it would get a little more stale.
It would get old with just Terry and I. Like we're getting old.
Yes. Beer, obviously. No, I wish it went to more, but it does not.
No, and it does not go to my Knob Creek fund, because my wife got this. She saw I was out, and she's like, I just bought you some more. I was like, oh, that's sweet of you. I'm going to drink it.
So those are all different ways that those dollars can stretch. And obviously, upgrading equipment, doing things of that nature. And then also, to be fair, I love giving stuff away. Usually, sometimes we have stuff that's given to us. but there's, believe it or not, there's a tiny downside to that. We still have to pay the $3 to $4 to $5 to ship it. So when you really think about giveaways, not only was there, more often than not, it's something that I have assembled or Johnny has gotten that we are shipping out that has value, but just the sheer shipping cost itself is actually, honestly, if I didn't have to pay for shipping, I'd give away twice as much or 10 times more stuff personally and within our show. It's the shipping that actually catches up with everybody so much quicker because, in essence, you're looking at least at $4 to get a disc in a box and shipped out.
Disc in a box?
Exactly. So those are the types of things that add up quickly. Just today I was thinking, man, I'd love to do another giveaway. I'd love to give away stuff every single day. And then I think, just the shipping alone is what can catch up with you. So. Well, we do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for any of the support that you continue to give us. Are you in Wayne's World's basement? Party on, Terry. No, but we are. What are we? About hour and a half. We're about 2 hours north of I-88 and Aurora, where Wayne's World had taken place. JVB, Johnny V. What color is a mirror? Glad you got asked the tough one.
That's a tough question. What color is a mirror? Like, would you say it's? I believe it's silver.
I was gonna say silver.
Silver
on the back or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen one made. Or how they work.
The backing is some sort of silver. I'm gonna go with silver. That's my final answer. Silver. Anyone out there doing HQ trivia online?
I've heard about. I don't know the deets.
So the deets are, and someone. Not EMAC, but I saw he does it as well, turned me on to this, and I can't believe that I got suckered into it. It's an app you put on your phone, obviously, and usually about twice a day, sometimes it's just once, they do a live trivia contest. And you have to answer all 12 questions right, and you get a cut of the money. So if they're giving away $2,000, whoever answers all 12 questions splits the $2,000. The other night, my wife and I sat here, and they gave away $10,000. So every winner got like $22.
Okay.
I would say the first 4 to 5 questions, pretty easy or relatively easy. And then it takes a turn for the worse. Like, it gets really tough.
Like, you have to be smart.
You have to be smart, and you have to be a relatively solid guesser. So I do that every once in a while. It just reminded me of when you said HQ trivia. Reminded me of that. So anyway, it's fun. It's interesting. The problem is, like, they're getting upwards of 1 to 1.2 million people at a time. The app starts lagging. It starts freezing. The questions come up, but all the video, they've got like this host or a different host that comes in and tells you the question. And it gets kind of crazy. And then obviously the further you go along, the less laggy the app gets. But it's quite a thing right now. It's kind of the hit new thing. It is it is multiple choice. They give you 3 answers.
Well, that can't be too hard.
You know, when they ask like, which one of these is unleavened bread, and I'm like, bagel versus Wonder Bread versus, and I'm like, I don't know. I guess, and I get it wrong.
Speaking of bread, maybe making cheddar. I don't know. I alluded to it earlier in the regular show. Brian Schweberger, I believe it was actually his wife, Ashley, who had made a post. I think there was some frustration regarding, we'll say, the service industry. And the question that was posed, and
Brian delivers, is he still?
He sometimes, I don't know if it's full-time or just part-time, but Brian
pizza delivery
works in in some pizza delivery realm. And I believe so. Ashley, maybe this was strategic in this sense, had taken it to Facebook and posed a question. And I want to find it exactly so I can. And it started up a pretty solid debate, as you would expect. This debate, funny enough, I think could rage on anyone's wall on any given day due to the nature of it or the original content.
Okay.
She had asked, how much tip would you give someone on a food delivery order? Say it was $600. And this specifically, we're going to pinpoint to pizza. I think about, if you get a Chipotle or a Qdoba or an Olive Garden or
your office
delivered
orders $600 worth of pizzas.
Office is a logical guess, but it could be office or it could be
a huge
large
Super Bowl party.
Yeah, Super Bowl or playoff party.
Traditionally, you tip a waiter or waitress 20%. So that would be $120.
Okay.
I would not tip that. If someone if someone came, $3 sounds like a good
Wow.
I think $20. I think $20 is a good tip. I think on a $600 meal, I think $20 is a solid, not too little.
You're saying for delivery.
For delivery. The delivery person who probably has $600 worth of pizzas, that's a lot of pizzas. That's 2 or 3 trips from their car probably. I think $20 is a good solid tip. I could understand if someone said 10. Like, oh, there's a $10 tip. What bothers me, and I got all I can't say I got pissy because I knew it was coming. Are you expecting to tip somebody even though there's a delivery charge? So
yes. Short answer is yes. Because it's usually the company that is accepting.
Why? Why does the company get a delivery charge?
Because the logic is
there was never delivery charges when I was a kid.
There was not. And the logic is, let's say you work somewhere that pays you $233 or $235 as a delivery driver. And your tips, although I don't know who in the world actually reports them accurately, your tips do not add up to enough to make minimum wage. The employer then has to make up the difference. So if you've delivered, we'll say pizzas for an hour, and you make $233, and then you get $3 in tips, you make $533 effectively. It is the employer's, I think, legal obligation to make up the difference. So that would be the catch-all when there's a delivery fee.
Sure.
That's where that delivery fee then could be pulled from. Now, it's funny because you've touched on a few hot buttons or topics that immediately, and we see the board lit up very quickly. And the numbers have ranged anywhere from $10 to $40 to $60 to a lot of people saying $100 or $120. I understand.
That's a lot for a tip, personally, and I understand it's a huge meal. I would just have. I just don't. I don't see the value in a delivery like that. I know you're smiling right now, like, oh, go ahead and dig, Van Derzen, dig your grave.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting.
I don't see that much of a value for $50 to $100 on a delivery of food like that.
Okay.
Like
and then naturally, one of the next arguments can then become: is it during rush hour? Is it during?
Of course.
Is it below zero? Those kinds of conditions that can factor in. Is it raining out? There's obviously things that could make that delivery service, we'll say, miserable. Or are you buried? Are you 6 stories up? And 19 offices deep where this person is making multiple trips.
I think that does make a big difference. As I said on the board, I would probably, if it was personal, I'd throw a $20 tip on there.
Mm-hmm.
If it were a company card, $50.
Which is funny because I had that same conversation today.
Because if it's a company thing where everyone's ordering for the office and you're probably putting it on some sort of credit card, you do a $50 tip. But if it's me personally, for whatever reason, let's say I'm ordering pizzas for a huge party. Pizzas are on me. I'm just doing $20. If you're gathering money from a bunch of other people, $600 worth of pizzas goes a long way. Let's just say that's 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess you throw in an extra buck for every person, and maybe $50 sounds about right. But I don't know. That's a tough question.
Well, it's interesting because to me, what it does is it really brings out just the bigger problem here, which is the whole concept of tipping. And I personally then turned around and challenged it with a few other questions. Tipping apparently goes back to the days of prohibition, which is something actually I've somewhat learned, is that during those days when people going to the speakeasies or the bars, they wanted some kind of special treatment and or access to certain things. That's when it was known, hey, if you tip your server, they're going to give you this preferential treatment. that's where I guess the tipping industry had started, and then now what we'll say blossomed into is incredible, because we hear all the time people talking about whether it's a tip or a bonus, but people talk about tipping or giving a bonus to a garbage man, to a newspaper person, a mailman, someone cutting your hair. You think about all those different things, and I always hear a very common response is, well, you tip in a lot of industries for things you don't want to do yourself.
Yeah, but here's what I say.
I don't want to to deliver my own mail because I don't really have that option. And
correct.
And some people call that a tip, and some people call that a bonus.
Like for me, and we're going to get into personal stuff, when I get my haircut, it's a $5 tip every time.
Which sounds at on a scale,
it's usually
sounds crazy compared to what you want to give for a $600 pizza order.
Agreed. It is usually a $20 haircut with a $5 tip, which is a 25% tip. Traditionally, I like to be a good tipper, but here's what I'll say for delivery: if you have a $600 meal at a table, let's say when we went on a company work trip, we had drinks and everything. It was about a $500 meal. There was 8 of us. It was a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue what he tipped.
In theory, 20% of that would be $100.
Agreed. Let's just say it's a couple families. They have we'll just say for a birthday party or whatever, we go to a Mexican restaurant. There's maybe 20 of us, and it comes out to $600. Bunch of families of 4.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot of work to make sure all those people get their food. They're all happy. They all keep their drinks filled. Yada yada yada. I think the level, not the level of service, but the level of difficulty isn't nearly as great to. And we're using pizzas as an example. Get a bunch of pizzas, have someone cook them, toss them in a box, and bring them to an office. And of course, there's variances there, and whether it's rush hour or this or that, it's my personal opinion. I'd like to be a good tipper in general, but there's a delivery. I just don't see the difficulty versus something like
a waitress who may come back to your table 28 times.
Exactly. Someone who has 100 other things they're working on, and you, as opposed to, all right, I'm going to this place, I'm going to bring this giant stack of pizzas, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to get another stack of pizzas, and I'm going to bring them somewhere else. I could be wrong. I've never worked in an industry where I've had to rely on tips, but I like to hopefully be a relatively good tipper.
Okay.
Clearly not for delivery people.
No, clearly not. And so to me, it posed a lot of other questions, again, about the whole concept. I as I stated on the thread, I read that recently that 43% of Americans think we should do away with the entire concept of tipping.
I would love to do away with it. Just charge me more.
Correct, which a lot of people say then when charge you more. Here's my internal conflict with that, because we are the only country in the world that engages still in the tipping practice. I understand you can just charge people more, but on the flip side, I'm torn because I'll say I really like the idea. To me, a tipping is kind of like a commission.
Kind of.
Where if you work harder and you do a really good job, you should get rewarded with more. I like the idea that if I put in more energy, effort, and work, I have a greater earning potential and then be rewarded. The problem is that goes out the window when some cheap ass gives you $2 no matter how good you are.
No, but also when you go to a restaurant or something, odds are that the tip you give is potentially being split amongst the bus boy, the waiter, the cook,
waiters.
Like, it doesn't matter how good of a job 90% of those other people do. If you're tipping on if 90% of those people suck and your waitress is awesome, she now has to split her tip with 8 other sucky people.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially.
And I understand every restaurant set up a little differently.
Correct. And it's not always the case. So if you think about it that way, you're thinking like, well, wow, I'm tipping based on what I think other people are doing. I get that. And personally, I like to not think that way. I would like to hope that, hey, you did a great job. Here's your tip. It's almost always, for me, it's almost always 20% if I'm at a restaurant. Like, that just seems standard. Unless someone went absolutely above and beyond, then you go maybe 25%.
Well, and
if they do if they do a bad job, it's usually like a 10% tip.
Well, I'll reiterate a few of the things that I had posted out there. I said I have plenty of questions to follow this up. And these were obviously a little bit rhetorical, but a few of the things I stated, which adds, because I've thought about this a lot throughout the years. I said, why do employees at Starbucks expect tips, but not the ones at, say, a McDonald's or a Subway? The baristas or whatever, they're making up your thing.
No, I don't tip them.
I'm just saying there is this implied notion with a tip cup, usually with something funny or clever written on it. And let's be fair. I think it's fair to assume, though, if you go into a Starbucks, there is definitely an implied notion of a tip or the tipping industry to take place there more than at a McDonald's or a Subway. You may not do it. I understand.
Funk that.
I'm just saying there's that notion. So that's one example. I said, why do many tip babysitters but not school teachers? And I'm not comparing a school teacher to a babysitter, but think about it. I know
I've never tipped a babysitter.
Okay.
No,
I know lots of people that do.
That's weird. Like, you pay a babysitter a set fee. Like,
I know lots of people that pay them a fee and then give them a tip on top of that. Absolutely.
How do you know the difference?
Because you have an hourly, more often than not, some people have an hourly wait. And I'd love to see if anyone chimes in on that specifically.
To me, that's weird. Well, no, but I can understand, at least, like, the babysitter is coming to your house to service your... To service... Or
sometimes you pick them up and drop them off.
Sure,
every babysitter's a little different.
I guess that could be the case.
Now babysitters, I think, Uber to places they're babysitting and then Uber back, which is kind of funny too.
Yeah.
Which is fine. So anyway, that was another example. I mean, we talk about people that temporarily watch and help raise your kid. Maybe not. Maybe if a babysitter shows up at 8 p.m. and puts your kids to bed at 9 and then sits on his or her phone until midnight, they're not doing nearly the effort that a teacher is doing for 8 hours a day, yet nobody gives a teacher a tip. Mm-hmm. You never walk in and pick up your kid and be like, oh, this is for you. Here's an extra $20. You don't do that. Yep. So I find that funny. I said, here's one of my biggest...
Wow, Wes Warren says a $25 order pizza is a $5 tip.
Yeah, that I think is pretty common. All right, another thing I said...
I don't think I've ever tipped a pizza.
And this is where ultimately it all fails for me. I say, if I leave a less than great tip, does the server understand it was due to poor service, or do they assume that I'm just cheap? If someone constantly gets poor tips, shouldn't that be a clue to change your work style or habits, or should I spell it out when they are subpar? And I think, to me, that's where the whole tipping industry fails, because I know plenty of people that be like, service wasn't that great, but I always give them 20%. Service was amazing. They get 20%. Like,
and I think
18 or 15, whatever your baseline is, which nobody agrees on a baseline. I grew up seemingly hearing or thinking 15.
15 growing up.
Then 18 was kind of a thing.
Well,
and then 20 is kind of a thing.
Here's what I'll say about the reason why I do 20, because it's really easy to figure out.
It makes math easier. I agree.
I'm not going to sit and figure out 18% tip when I can just be like, all right, move the decimal times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I know.
I'm good to go there.
All right, another question. Should someone...
But here's what I'll say. Before you move on to that, if you give a small tip, and they don't know, like, if it's because they did a crappy job versus that, and you write, hey, I'm giving you a small tip because you did this, then you look like a dick. Like, oh, here's your small tip.
Do you not?
I think you do.
Because if someone gave me a small tip and they literally left me, we'll say 5% as opposed to 15 or 20%, and they wrote on there, you messed up our order 3 times, and then another one is, whatever.
I would think if they messed up your order 3 times and all that came down, and they find out, like, at the end of the day they have a 5% tip, they know why that happened.
Hopefully, I don't know that everybody does. That's what I worry.
You would think. Now, if they felt like if there was nothing wrong, but maybe they didn't come and fill your water enough, or you weren't happy, I would hope that a server knows why they got a small tip.
That's what I worry, is they don't. And that's why I wonder,
it's possible
should it be my obligation to then spell it out, which I'd be more comfortable with.
And does it matter if it's a place you go frequently?
There can be some awkwardness then.
Because we go to a particular Mexican restaurant once a month, we'll say.
You don't have to get racial. I'm just kidding.
Botanas! Maybe once every 2 months. Anyway, we go there quite a bit when we can, because it's our favorite Mexican restaurant. And we traditionally tip 20%. If one day I decided to tip 10% or 5% because the service was bad, but every other time the service has been good, I don't think I would do it. I think even if the service were bad, I'd still tip 20%.
So you're kind of breaking / enabling the system.
A little bit. I think just 20. Now, if I go to a place I don't normally go to, only because we've had such good experiences there for so long, one experience isn't going to wreck it. Now, if we have continued poor experiences, we'll either stop going, or we'll talk to somebody, or we'll leave a note or a message or something like that. But I
think it should be spelled out, because I think some people just
I agree.
assume,
It would be nice to be
oh,
spelled.
that guy, oh, look at that disc golf guy. He left me $1 tip. You were horrible if I were to do that. So another question, and maybe this one, maybe it's more cut and dry, maybe it's not. We got a couple people who very much work in this industry, which why I think these are some valid questions. Should someone tip if you walk into a restaurant and pick up a to-go order? And
No.
I'll use BW3s or an Applebee's,
No.
or an Outback Steakhouse. I've called in. Here's my order. Here's my $200 worth of stuff, and then you get there and you don't sit out on the curbside. You get there and you walk in and you pick up a to-go order to then walk out. Any obligation on a tip?
0.
You say 0? Okay, I'm good with 0. In that case, I am. I feel like nobody has provided me a service that was in any way above and beyond what you are. The cooks cooked it.
How many? To me, it's like, have you ever? And maybe some people have. Have you ever tipped the lady that checks you out at the grocery store? I know you tip the bagger at times. Some people do, but the woman who actually checks you out, like brings up all your stuff. I don't know of anyone that's ever tipped someone like that.
I wouldn't think so.
But the person who bags, I know people have tipped them. Tip them $1 or $2, like, oh, thanks for bagging it, because it's something that you could do yourself. Versus you can't check yourself out of a store. That is a service they do. I can't go to BW3s and cook my own meal.
Correct. Now,
that's my philosophy.
So would you...
I could cook my own meal at home.
Seth says no on takeout. Cook won't get it. Server just bags it up. Okay. So, similar but very varied question. I don't know how many viewers...
Disc Golf Nerd says you should absolutely tip for something for takeout.
Yeah, funny, interesting. See, again, just look at the.
No, I know there's a lot of
here.
There's a lot of.
So
different...
how about? And then I think I know where Disc Golf Nerd would go with this. What about curbside? You've ordered. They tell you go park in stall 4, or you're parked at curbside, and then someone brings it out to your car. Sometimes,
sure.
Then you hand them a card. Then they take it in. Then they run the card. Then they bring it out. Then you sign for it. What's the percentage of tip on that?
I would say that's worth a. Not a percentage, $2.
Okay. Christy says
because it's becoming very popular.
Well, and this
that like for grocery stores, my wife is starting
curbside pickup. Yeah,
curbside pickup. You just pull up, they drop it. They come over, bring it over. Now, am I paying extra fee for that service? If I'm already paying an extra fee for that service, for me, I would say no. You get 0 tip. Maybe I'd still give a tip actually, but if there's no extra service fee for that,
which I think in our grocery store specific cases, I don't think there is.
Then I would tip, I think. If someone came out, dropped it up, took my credit card, they have to go outside, they have to go out of their way. Odds are, whatever. I would probably tip a couple bucks there. Maybe $2 or $3 sounds about right.
Which is funny, as Dave says on the board.
That's pretty quick. That's a 5-minute interaction.
Dave, I'm just catching your comment. You said same as drive-through or Sonic fast food. Now, is Sonic the same, or Sonic usually you pull up to a stall and then they may or may not go back and forth more than once? I don't know. But drive-through, you're literally pulling up to the window. They're literally handing you the bag. I don't think anyone tips there.
No. And I think it benefits the...
But how are they any... See, that's the funny part, is how are they any different than if you walked in, which takes more effort on your part, and you watch the barista make your latte. But there's an assumption of tip at that point. And I don't think I'm speaking out of context here.
I don't think
you guys can correct
either.
me, but it's funny how that happens in that situation. And I keep using Starbucks as the example, but I think they're one of the people that help make that concept more popular for whatever reason. And another reason why this all came about this weekend, and this is not a judgment by any means, clearly, I am not a Adonis of any kind or physically fit specimen.
What?
I stopped briefly at a McDonald's to use the restroom this weekend. I was going somewhere, I think it was to the Blackhawks game or something, and I had stopped. It was best to stop at the McDonald's. what I found interesting is I pulled into the McDonald's. I eat other food that's not good for me. Frequently I don't eat McDonald's.
I'm with you.
But I pulled into McDonald's and I saw, of course, there's the drive-through, obviously. There's the now Uber Eats is very popular. Lots of people can have McDonald's along with any other food can be delivered to your house. McDonald's is also, I think, relatively recently implemented a call-ahead order.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, I think, well, drive-throughs usually pretty quick, but I guess there's busy times.
Yeah.
But when are they really making and begging that if they're preparing it ahead of time? Would that have just been the same as waiting in the drive-thru? The takeaway was a business thing for me. It had nothing to do with the food or really even the service. The takeaway was, it's interesting that we were making it so there's so many varieties of ways to get McDonald's food, for instance, and that it can be delivered to your house, it can be drive-thru, you can walk in, and now you can call it ahead. And you call ahead at Applebee's. If you eat there, Chili's, whatever, Olive Garden, whatever.
You call ahead for a reservation.
No. You could. I'm saying you could call ahead to do to-go orders on any one of those. I find it interesting that there's a business model needed to call ahead to McDonald's.
Oh, sure. No. I get it because my wife and I, it was last summer, we were going to like a children's play. And we were running just a little bit behind schedule. We weren't going to be late or anything, but I went on the Panera app, ordered everything we wanted to order, paid for it on Panera app, walked into Panera, never talked to a person.
Mm-hmm.
It was just lined up there.
I put it on
with your name. I grabbed mine. Could have grabbed anybody's, which I thought was kind of funny.
Which I do. I'm just kidding.
Awkward. And walked out. And I was like, cool. And the funny thing was, I forgot my drink. But it was, I grabbed it and walked out, and I thought, that's awesome. That's great. Every place should be like, I should be able to go to a Subway app and say, boop, 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 boop. This is exactly what I want in my sub. I'll be there at 12:05. Have it ready for me. And if they make it and it's up to me, if they make it at 11 o'clock or they make it at 12:04, when I walk in that door, I want it ready. And if they make it at 11 o'clock and I don't like it, I'm not going to use their service again.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's how I want every fast food, quote unquote fast food, to be like that. And if you can do like the thing is, when I go to a sit down meal, I think that's different. Sit down meal is more of an experience. You go there with your family, you hang out, probably maybe another group of friends, you sit and chat. There should be no order or rush on that type of service. To me, there could be, and if they want to give you that option, that's fine. For me, that's usually not the case. I'm not going to go to, like I said, our favorite Mexican restaurant, order something and run out the door. Now, I could if I was like, I just want this meal and I want to get up and go. If they want to offer that, great. But for places like fast food, your Jimmy John's, your Subway, McDonald's, Burger King, Hardee's, whatever one you particularly want to kill yourself with, I want to be able to order it, have a time in, get it, go, and leave. I don't want to talk to a single human being if I'm lucky. Because that's, to me, fast food. And we're at a point now where that can happen. It's just my thought.
Well, that's talk about a random tangent. I then there's a whole nother world when it comes to the bar industry, where similar concepts I'm sure apply, so on and so forth. You're talking about margins and markup and employee wages, and there's so many other things that kind of all factor into it. Again, my takeaway is I'm slightly torn. I love the idea of quote unquote a commission-based world where the harder you work, the more you can earn. But also, I'd love to see tipping eliminated. Charge everybody more, make things more expensive, pay the workers a whatever is deemed a working living wage, and leave it at that. I think that would, because as our discussion, along with our people on our Smashies,
and if people are bad servers, they'll eventually filter out of that position.
You would think. I'm just saying, look at even the discrepancy just among our little pocket here tonight of people, and I feel like that happens at every single table with every single group, from family to coast to region. Everybody has a slightly different take, and that consistency is thrown out. There is no consistency. The only consistency is that we all don't agree on some of the basics. So I think it's funny. I'd love to eliminate it. I don't know. I think it'll happen in our lifetime. I think tipping will eliminate in our lifetime.
I don't think so.
And I'd be good with it.
I don't think so. And Disc Golf Nerd brings up a good point, and I'm the same way. Tipping bartenders to pour you a drink. I will tip. The funny thing is, I might not tip every drink. If I know I'm going to be there for a few drinks, I might wait till the second drink and tip $1 or $2, and then wait till maybe the fourth. But to tip $1 after every drink, to me, it's just like, well, why not just pay me why not just charge me an extra $1? You know?
Well, and some will tell you, some pros will tell you, tip heavy on the first drink because then they're more likely to serve you quicker with future drinks. So that's another way to look at it.
And you look like a jerk. The guy like, dude, tip me $3 on the first drink. Now he hasn't hit me up at all.
And I'm not even going to go too far in depth on how I am not a fan of the people, some very upstanding, some not, sketchy or upstanding people in men's restrooms that want to hand you a mint, that want to hand you paper toweling, that want to give you mouthwash or give you gum or a cigarette or a splash of cologne. Leave me alone, people. I understand that you kind of, sort of, but if I'm walking towards the sink, and I don't know if all women experience this the same as men do, but it's very common for men to be maybe at a nightclub or at certain bars or restaurants. Sometimes there to be an attendant, we'll call it, an attendant in the bathroom. And if I want to go wash my hands and then I want to turn to grab the towel or to do whatever, I don't need somebody handing me a towel and then expecting a tip from that. I got it. It's a towel. I got it. I don't want to, I just wash my hands. I don't want to crawl into my wallet to try and find a $1 or $2 to then give you a dirty $1 after I just got done washing my hands. That's almost on a whole nother level.
I don't think I've ever tipped a bathroom attendant, but I try not to use their services either if they're in there. I'm like, no, I'm good. I got it myself.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Hey, but usually they have the soap. It's like,
I know, they're like, oh, here's soap, and I'm like, I could have got that out of the dispenser myself.
I could have.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm good. See ya. Have a nice night, dude.
Yeah, and then there's casino tipping. That's almost a whole nother story. When you're winning at casinos or you're not, and people are tipping, or you tip on big hands or wins at hands, and whether it's blackjack, poker, any of the games. Mm-hmm. Again, I feel like that's even an entirely different story. Yeah. Anyway. All right, that's enough. That is a total random side rant.
After show.
I think Makers had asked earlier, is this a disc golf podcast?
And I told him, I said, we gave you 2 good solid hours of disc golf, and this is Johnny and Terry get to talk about stupid things that we would normally talk about off the podcast.
To each other.
But we don't talk enough, so now we talk about it on the podcast.
Now we subject you guys.
Now you guys have to sit and listen to that.
And I think some of these are some legitimate conversations for you guys to be having.
It's a good conversation.
Out there as well. But if there's anything you want to fight about, the tipping industry, it sounds like a pretty solid topic for you to bring up among all of your friends.
I agree. We should find a way to give away our dynamic disc Marksman
the largest tip that comes in on.
No, we can't. We're out of luck.
Tip your TDs.
Tip your podcast hosts, please.
I think about all the people that I feel like deserve, if you're going to give them, based on that premise, that deserve a tip, as opposed to the people that don't. Like I said, when's the last time you tipped a teacher?
Well, we do Christmas gifts and stuff.
Is that a tip? Is that a bonus?
Because I'll say, growing up, my family never did anything for any of my teachers.
So you give them a $20
gift card or something.
Wow. I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm not saying
it's not 20% of their salary.
I know, but I'm just saying your teacher or this teacher. I have 2 children, as do you. A teacher endured these kids literally for hundreds of hours. Mm-hmm. And here's your $20.
My son
McDonald's gift card. Call ahead.
My son has 3 teachers. My daughter has.
Yeah, do you tip them all?
5 or 6 teachers.
Do you buy gifts for every one of them?
Usually what my wife will do is she'll make like a big batch of cookies and bring it in, and then and then for her main teacher, maybe a $10 or $20 gift certificate somewhere. But we're also good friends, not good friends. We're also friends with her teacher. So I couldn't, the funny thing is at one point I couldn't even name my son's one of my son's teachers because he bounces around between classes.
All right. Anyway, What were we talking about? Oh,
yeah, we totally should have saved this for a night that we could have done super chat tipping. And no, you had to bring it up tonight. Way to go, Miller.
Save all those for next week.
It just shows that we're not in it just for the money. We took away the tip option just to talk about
so
tips.
we could rip on the tipping industry.
And next week when no one remembers us tipping and we're asking you for super chats, don't forget about us.
Yeah.
I spent a majority of this past week converting DVDs to digital. I bought a little app that more or less bypasses the encryption and converted it to an MP4 file and uploaded it to my local server so I could sit and watch, one of the 40 DVDs that I own on our TV system, and I'm pretty happy with that. So
sounds pretty fancy.
It's not.
Oh.
I was just happy to have it done because we don't have a DVD player hooked up anymore. There's not enough HDMI ports.
Yeah, speaking of which, last night I reconnected. I am not a gamer at all. Our household has never been, maybe as a result. But I reconnected a Wii, which I didn't realize are 10 years old.
I have one over there if you want
I
one.
reconnected a Wii and was able to play a little bit with my two daughters. And just thinking about, the technology and the pieces and the components, and for a minute I'm like, wow, is this TV, can this TV even take it? And thankfully it had, RCA inputs so that it could take it. But I certainly fret for the day when something like that can't even be installed or connected to a TV, a current day TV.
Tired of Crap asks, what's the name of the DVD to MP4 player? I believe it's...
Don't say Dazzle. Say Dazzle.
No, it's not
the Dazzler.
It's not Dazzle. What the heck is it? DVD.
Nathaniel asks, any new technology on the horizon that may change live broadcasting or video coverage?
DVD Fab. F-A-B. I paid for
Fab.
I paid for the version so it doesn't have the watermark on it. DVD Fab.
Any new technology on the horizon that may change live broadcasting? Anything crazy?
No, I've heard talks of AT&T and Verizon possibly rolling out 5G service by the end of the year in select markets. That's going to be your major cities. I don't see 5G truly rolling out to a place where we can use it probably until the end of next year. But once that 5G is kind of that holy grail, because at 5G service, assuming, data caps and whatnot, you're talking gigabits up and down, not just megabits. You're talking like hundreds of megs or gigabit, which at that point could be as clear as any recorded broadcast. So that's because a recorded one usually records at 35 to 50 meg per second.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pushing, if when 5G comes and let's just say we have unlimited service, we could push out at 35 meg per second or 50 meg per second and have the quality of a Jomez or a CCDG or Terry Miller's recorded coverage. So that's really kind of the next big step that I'm looking for. We're going to see if anything shows up at NAB in April. We talked about this a little bit last week.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is something, that'd be awesome. I don't count on it. I haven't heard of anything.
One thing that you and I haven't even talked about, every week you hear me discussing options in terms of post-production coverage. I had dabbled with the new Canons that were recently released. I still have not made any final decisions. We've talked about the idea of me possibly using the JVC, which was purchased a few years ago. The JVC, our big challenge was we had one or two Canons within our mix of live coverage, and then when a JVC was purchased, there was a distinct color difference from that to the other cameras, and we really couldn't get them in line or in sync to look
as well as we wanted.
To match up as well as we wanted. However, if a weekend like this weekend where I'm going to Arizona and I may have just the one single camera of coverage, I think I might try out the JVC. If it's something that works well, the idea would be that I would purchase then another JVC that would then potentially color match it. That's one idea. That's something I want to look at possibly this weekend. This is a 4K camera. I won't shoot it in 4K. I don't even know all the specs on this camera.
It's pretty good.
So it's something that, it's going to look different than what I shot a few weeks ago, say in Florida. It's still going to look really good and crisp and clear. It's going to be 60 frames per second, all that stuff at 1080, but it'll have a slightly different look than probably what you saw out of the Canons that I had a few weeks ago. So maybe that becomes a solution as well. It's kind of unknown.
Yeah, someone was asking about 3D. I don't see VR or 3D, depending on how you want to look at it, being a real viable solution for live. Not for us, at least for the next 4 years. Again, it all depends on that 5G because you've got a lot of data. With a 360-degree field, you've got a lot of data you're pushing through a cell coverage. So I don't really foresee that being a very viable solution yet.
Country Disc Golf asked an overdue, well, the question's not overdue, the result is overdue. The Hall of Fame bonus footage coming soon. I actually pulled it up last week. So I worked with Country Disc Golf, who is patiently waited. He filmed 2 rounds. I filmed 3 rounds. A couple of my rounds are are edited together. One even has commentary over it. The 2 rounds that he had worked with are all put together. He put them together very quickly. And I think we did commentary over one of those. I think all I need is like an intro. And I was actually going to send you, if you can work with the file, I'd send you the file, and maybe you could put a few clips in to create the intro, and then we could start releasing that Hall of Fame footage. I actually pulled it up the other day to answer your exact question. So hopefully we can get that knocked out. I want to get that out sooner than later.
DGN also asks, whatever happened with the drone you guys were gifted? Did that ever get used? Yeah, we do use it on occasion. Terry, more so for...
Didn't they crash it?
He might have crashed it once.
It may have gotten crashed.
But it's still working.
But it works. And in fact, in the chance that...
you use it for post-production stuff more than...
I used it a little bit for post-production. And somebody said a few weeks ago, asking, I think it was Cool One had asked about possible goals for 2018. That is... probably number 2, maybe number 3. If I had a goal list, 2 or 3 would be make better use of that drone in a multitude of ways. There's a lot of different ways that it can be implemented. Post-production, live, it could get used into live production, all sorts of things, making better use, and that goes along with practicing with it and becoming more confident in using it. I got to admit, it doesn't get used as much as it could as of the moment because I am truly scared of crashing it and then breaking it. And when it sucks when you put something up in the air like that and know that if it falls to the ground for almost any reason at any point, you're looking at anywhere between a $200 and $1,000 repair bill. So that makes it a little bit more daunting to the point where I've gotten nervous about actually even using it sometimes.
Sissy.
Yes. Country says, I want a 4K 60 frames per second camera, but they're out of my range. Was hoping the new Canon would fit the bill. Yeah.
Wait for NAB, see what's announced. After things are announced, hopefully we see some price drops if that's what you're interested in.
Exactly. Yeah. Unrelated.
This week on video podcast.
Dave Clement says, Mike the players in the game. I know Central Coast did that at one point. I don't know what they did or didn't do with the footage. I know that there's an idea there. Whenever I think of... there's no reason why it couldn't be cool. I was just going to say, I think of football being awesome. I think of basketball being awesome. Baseball and disc golf and ball golf. Baseball I don't find... I think would be less interesting, but they could all be cool if edited correctly.
Of course, if edited correctly. I think that is all stuff. It's best for post-produced stuff. For live stuff, you just kind of stick a mic down near them when they're talking or discussing something. So,
Amps asks, what kind of drone? It's a Mavic Pro. And we're seeing DJI come out with a number of others. They've got
they just
released a $100 version.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, I said they were teasing something today.
Oh, that I didn't see.
And I'm assuming it's going to come out in the next couple weeks. It was just literally, you could gather nothing other than probably it's a drone, but we'll see what they're doing.
Who posted? Disc Golf Nerd said, part of why I love Marty's coverage is that you can hear the players talk. age-old conversation as to, having commentary or not. I'll say this. If I capture something, I hope you guys have noticed this. If I capture something that's, I feel like truly interesting, or that I capture it clear enough, I actually mark a little section on the video now where I'll make sure not to talk. So if I've caught a really good interaction, Jeremy Colling interacting with Paul Macbeth, and I've caught that on film, I will mark that section within my editing process, and I'll know, okay, if I'm doing commentary, I want to make sure to not talk during that section, because I'm cutting to live, I'll say the live interaction of that time. That is, to me, one of the other overall downsides, though, to having any commentary at all, as I think what you're saying is Marty frequently didn't have any commentary, and then you hear every sound of the game. I do think that sometimes is lost a little bit when you have other people commentating over the rounds. So I can agree with you there. We can get the story of the 18 signature holes of Vibram. Yeah, I think it's a big term. Pole cam would be cool if you have one to have that not interfere with the shots coming into the baskets. Mike, the players reminds me of the American Tour. Yeah, maybe in some ways. With different scorekeepers maybe out there. Let's hear the rest of the hypothetical goal list. I didn't think much past that, but number, like I said, 2 or 3 would... I want to upgrade, from the post-production side, I want to upgrade graphics and cameras, which is all very expensive process. And did I say A? So I'll say B. 2, 3, whatever, is utilize the drone. I don't know what the number 1 goal would be. 1 million subscribers.
Not suck.
That stuff. Disc Golf Nerd says, I've grown to love commentary, but it still bothers me when there's no course sounds. I agree. I love the idea of you're hearing the sounds of the course, even if it's just the ambient sounds, but then also having people talk over it. Disc golf conversation isn't as stimulating. What was that?
Oh, who gets the first sports?
Isn't as stimulating as you think. Lots of good putt on yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of what it is. There's some commentary. I mean, there's some chat amongst the players as they're walking up fairways and stuff. But
who gets the first Sports Center top 10 in 2018?
Well, my question is, what event? Because it could be any.
It could be
person.
This weekend. I could capture an ace of an awesome shot at the Shelly Sharp Memorial if it's
not going to happen.
I'm just saying. Right?
I'm trying to think what event it's going to be. If it's going to be Vegas, I bet you there's one between Vegas and Memorial. I bet there's one.
Shelly Sharp this weekend.
I hope so. I don't have any faith, but
or when I capture an amazing ace that takes place at the Cracked Plastic in the dead of winter, and there's some crazy ace that gets captured. Anything could happen. Feature I'd most like to see: a roving reporter at tourneys, even if he does something with a handheld rather than having a separate cameraman. So you're saying having a live camera, an additional live camera person, which is actually what we had 2 years ago in theory, with someone running around that had a live feed attached to them. Is that what you're saying? And then catch up with them? Is that what you're asking? Because we did that in 2016, and it had some advantages and it had some disadvantages. If you send out a cameraman and all of a sudden he catches up with Paul Macbeth, who's on the third card, that's happened. Paul Macbeth's been on the third card. Paul Macbeth's on the third card, and Paul Macbeth's shooting hot. The problem is, do we know the story? Do we know what's going on? Is there another reporter there talking about it? Are we cutting away from the lead card or not? Or only on slow times? What happens when our lead card is walking down the fairway the same time Paul Macbeth's card or the third card is walking down the fairway? Like, I'm not saying it's not conceivable. We've done something like that. It still has its own set of challenges. That's all. And a sideline reporter, so to speak, has to kind of quickly figure out what's going on, and that's another big problem. If you just walk onto hole 9. Did somebody just throw out of bounds? Is somebody inbounds? What's the group been shooting like? Has somebody been hot and just cooled down? Lots of those things to figure out. I like the idea Trevor Hook says, I still like the idea. Some tournaments you post up on hole 9 and watch every player throw into the last card and then follow them in. That's definitely an idea. And Disco Pro Tour Seth says, or you run to catch eagle and he bogeys out. And that's happened. You know, we check UDisc and it's, oh, someone's shooting hot. Let's go get some footage from it. And then the Iceman shows up and, you know, they start 8 out of 9 and then they go par for the back 9. And you're like, oh.
Appreciate that.
Disc Golf Nerd says, got to run. Cheers, everyone. Good night. Have a good one. Max says, I'd like to see a few stationary cameras on select holes you can cut to. That would,
That'd be
we'd
nice.
love to see that too. Makers says,
need more cameras, need more Pterodecks that can transmit that, and some stationary stuff. So.
and thousands more dollars.
Well, yeah, that. More
Did I say that?
cameras. Yeah.
Did you say that?
Well, that comes along, I think,
Oh.
with the more cameras and Pterodecks and Celsius.
It's not from us not wanting it.
Oh God, if I could, I'd set up personally, I would love to see a PTZ camera, the point tilt zoom, at every basket underneath of it, or maybe even on top of it, with a battery and a Pterodeck with data. Or at least
So we could cut to every
we'll say
basket
top,
at any time.
Top 5, we'll say. So when the 3rd or 5th card, we have a little bit of downtime, and suddenly Drew Gibson is lining up for a 50-foot putt, I can cut to it and we can kind of see it. I would love that. Or I can just record that and then play it back later. Be like, oh, check out Drew's putt on hole 12. That'd be great. It's also very, 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 very expensive.
Makers Telemark says, is the next gen tour viable? It seems like it is.
I think
they did a really great job. They're 2 years in. I think they're growing and expanding even for further in this year. If you're in Wisconsin, Illinois, or Minnesota, and you want to run a next gen qualifying event, reach out to me. I am helping as a regional coordinator of sorts. I would love to work with you to have you have a qualifying event in your area. So I'll say that.
All right. Have you thought of a way to give away the Marksman disc?
Oh. No.
Me neither.
Thought of a way to give away the...
Ooh.
All right. The person that guesses the correct under par score, I'll shoot this weekend. Oh, wait. Never mind. We don't know that I'm gonna.
Yeah, you said under par. You kind of confused me.
Next generator. Is there going to be spectators who catch great shots throughout the round, have them upload? Problem is that's going to usually be in low to poor quality. Probably around 100,000 is the amount needed to spot where you can cut and use the user generated.
When
you,
you,
+8, +2, you jerks.
When you read questions, you should do it more clearly than mumble them.
Oh, sorry. Correct. I'm sorry. There's a mix between reading to myself and then reading for a.
You need to pick one or the other. You do it a lot, and you're just like,
I'll just mumble through this one.
And I'm thinking, like, well, our audio people, this is not much fun for them because they're not looking at the web board like we are.
Correct. Thank you. That's a good call. I will enunciate and read more clearly when reading questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We could do 2 giveaways next week.
No, I like the idea of giving something away.
Okay. I want it for my live viewers.
All right. I think I want to confirm my answer. I'm going to go into my hidden email account. Nope. Here it is. I've got the answer. The first person, here's your clue.
On your YouTube chat board?
Yep. First of all, this is YouTube chat board. You must interact on the YouTube chat board to be eligible, which is where you're going to put the answer. Who I see as the first person to answer it correctly will, in fact, I will then declare the winner as it comes up on our chat board. May look different on your chat board, but the one on our chat board will be the official one. We have no reason to cheat you on this in any way, shape, or form. So, sticking with Marksman, sticking with Dynamic Disc, here's your, that will be your clue. The question is, put in the comments section the name of the Dynamic Disc sponsored tournament director in Texas this weekend. I think that's clear enough.
That's good.
The Dynamic Disc sponsored tournament director person in Texas this weekend. Answer was given by Trevor Hook was Melton. Incorrect. Marcus Burke says 42. Incorrect. Trevor Hook with McCabe. McCall also answered incorrectly. Doug Bjerkis, great question, great answer. Incorrect for Amp Style. And Christy has it correct. We're going to give it to her. Christy Moore, I believe, is our winner. Steve Story.
That's great. Christy, you can fill out your information at smashbox.tv/winners. That's where we do that information. We will make sure to get you in contact with one Bobby Brown, or if he shared a document with us. I wonder if we're supposed to just put that in there.
Yeah, so fill it out there. Go to smashbox.tv/winners, fill that out, and from there we'll get it figured out.
We'll make sure you get your prize.
Some other great answers thrown out there. Miles Seaboard, Charles Bronson, Eric Jubin, Van Gogh, Tina and Eric, Team Tina. Nope. Steve-O is always a good answer, and that is correct. So Steve Story is the correct answer. That was a solid one.
Great question.
Thanks. Right off the dome.
I was gonna say Andy Young because I went to Sugarland Showdown 7 and I looked at who the tournament director is, and it's in Texas.
I hope he's not sponsored by DD because then we'd be wrong.
Just saying. All right, cool.
Okay. The Googles had failed you, Geiske. All right, guys. Well, that's a giveaway. We hope that you enjoyed it. We'll come up with more. Well, maybe not. That was a clever way. Just maybe a little more structured or organized next time.
We'll get it figured out better for next time.
But we'll have them each and every time for you when we're talking about the Dynamic Disc Marksman League partnered up with UDisc and the great guys over there. Go out and support them. Buy a pro membership. Try one out for free if you need to, and then buy a pro membership from them. They're great guys over there. So we're going to close things out. Tip your servers. Tip your wait. Too soon. Again, thanks to everyone in our regular show. I want to thank you guys for joining along with us during the after show. As always, off the rails. Yes and no to being disc golf related. That's the way we like it. For Johnny V and myself, that is Smashbox TV's podcast 178. We'll see you next week as we recap the Shelly Sharp Memorial and other goodies that I hear are coming from Keith Murray out of Scottsdale, Arizona. It's been great. We'll see you next time when you step inside the Smashbox.